Chapter 722. Death was a fear of the unknown. However, when death truly arrived, people usually didn't feel any pain. That was because everything happened in an instant, and they didn't even have the chance to reflect on it. That was the case for the beings of Zhu Yun's star. It was the seventh star of the demon moon. In the entire demon moon world, Zhu Yun's star was an average star. It was neither too big nor too small, neither too poor nor too rich. If the 9 stars of the demon moon world were compared to 9 people, then Zhu Yun's star would be the most ordinary one. The strongest cultivator on Zhu Yun's star was at the 1-era immortal initial stage. There were 3 cultivators like that in total. They were the Star Lord and 2 observers of the demon moon empire stationed on Zhu Yun's star. Just now, they sensed an interstellar battle. However, they didn't expect misfortune to descend so quickly. It didn't even give them a chance to escape. Chun Yuqiu transformed into that flaming star with power close to the 9th level of rebirth, not to mention the power of the Silver Whip. It was an existence they couldn't fight against. Your Majesty Moon Empress, Lord Shaman, in their final moments, they could only shout at the sky. In the face of absolute power, they were still mortals. Even after cultivating for tens of thousands of years, they still couldn't escape becoming a wisp of smoke. This was how life and death was supposed to be. On the day of the apocalypse, even the strong were like this, not to mention the others on Zhu Yun's star. Right now, the ones suffering the most were the powerful cultivators who were awake, because they saw the arrival of the god of death. They felt endless terror, but there was nothing they could do, like a nightmare. Their pupils dilated, reflecting the appearance of the god of death. As for the ants, they often only understood everything at the very last moment. Some even died in their sleep. Boom! Boom! The flaming star slammed into Zhu Yun's star, kicking up a cloud of dust for millions of miles. At that moment, it was a star explosion. Lonely fireworks, shining in the interstellar space. That was the color of death. The entire Zhu Yun star exploded. All the living beings on it turned into cosmic dust. They didn't seem to make a sound as they came and went, because the cultivators who saw this destruction only saw the explosion of the star. They didn't care about the death of each individual. At that moment, Sumo did not move. He watched it all in silence. "Sumo, why didn't you save them?" Yi Wuhui asked slowly. "I don't want to change history," Sumo said calmly. "Because we know that the demonic moon world will eventually disappear. We are only here to find the truth. But we shouldn't just watch them die like this." Yi Wuhui said, "Every life should be cherished, not to mention a 1-star life." "Sumo, I can't bear it." "Okay." Sumo nodded, then sighed. "Then let's go." With that, Sumo turned around to leave. Sumo really didn't want to get involved in MOU's matter. As he said, he only wanted to know the truth. The truth behind the destruction of the Demon Moon world, the truth about Xiao Huang and the Demon Moon world, the truth about Mu Jinghong and Mu Hongxun. These were the most important things. From a certain point of view, Sumo was more willing to be a bystander than think of a way to go back a few million years and solve everything. But when he wanted to leave, someone stopped him. "Sir, now that you've finished watching the show, it won't be easy for you to leave." The silver-armored youth said slowly from behind, "Su Mo, you seem to have forgotten what I just said. You can't leave today, unless you are willing to be my servant and serve me as your master." Sumo stopped in his tracks, frowning slightly. But he didn't turn around. Although Chun Yuqiu said that he wanted to die for the Demon Moon, when Sumo personally saw Chun Yuqiu turn into a flaming star and die, his mood was still very low. Chun Yuqiu was indeed a person worthy of respect. "Young man, you seem to have forgotten what I said just now. In all the worlds, there is no one who can make me serve him as my master." Sumo's voice was very calm. "Ha!" A boy in silver armor heard and couldn't help but laugh loudly. "Sumo, I quite like your personality, because you are even more arrogant than me. But you're just a small rebirth realm cultivator. What qualifications do you have? Didn't you see that the great state preceptor of the Demon Moon, rebirth realm cultivator who had just fallen? If you don't submit, I will kill you." A boy in silver armor said coldly. "Anyway, As long as the demon moon exists, they can all be killed. I can use you to destroy another star. Is that so? Sumo heard and couldn't help but slowly turn around, then actually had a faint smile on his face. You are a hidden demon, Sumo smiled and asked. Then, do you know a nine-tailed raccoon? Nine-tailed raccoon? A boy in silver armor was slightly stunned. You mean Cat Slave? Why, are you his friend? Haha. Unfortunately, he is not qualified to plead for you. If it was his master, then it would be possible. No. Sumo shook her head. I have a grudge against Nine-tailed Raccoon. Ha! A boy in silver armor heard this and couldn't help but laugh again. That's good. You have a grudge against Cat Slave. That means you have a grudge against Peacock Princess. If I kill you, I will also get a favor. Haha, is that so? Looks like Nine-tailed Raccoon is Peacock Princess Man. Sumo nodded with a smile. Then, are you familiar with the Peacock clan? You also know about the Peacock clan? A boy in silver armor raised his eyebrows. Of course. Not long ago, I killed a peacock in the 7-star world of dust. She called herself the Heavenly Tower Master, a black peacock. Sumo still had a smile on her face. However, at this moment, Yi Wuhue was silent. This was because he could sense Sumo's anger. You killed a black peacock? A boy in silver armor's expression changed slightly. The Peacock clan was indeed hiding in the 7-star world of dust. However, he still hadn't received any news of Black Peacock's death. Who are you? Why did you kill her? Because she threatened me? Sumo's lips curled into a strange smile. She said that the Demon King will definitely find me. My wife and son will all die. The reincarnators of the 3 realms will also die. What? A boy in silver armor was stunned. This was because he couldn't understand Sumo's words. Who are you? I am me, Sumo. The smile on Sumo's face gradually disappeared. Or, that black peacock called me Demon King. Whoosh! Following Sumo's words, Sumo's entire appearance changed in an instant. Sumo's appearance dissipated, revealing the true appearance of the Demon King. Her clothes were as white as snow, and her appearance was like a demon's. At the same time, Sumo's aura completely dispersed. At that moment, Sumo wasn't doing it because her true appearance was as beautiful as a demon's. Instead, when facing the 9 realms of rebirth, she had to mobilize all the magic power in her body. Revealing her true appearance could save her from unnecessary consumption. Whoosh! Sumo's hand trembled, and a red light flashed. The pure child puppet had already flown out. That was a reincarnation-level puppet. After the battle in the Pure Land, Sumo hadn't summoned him. However, Pure Child didn't face a boy in silver armor, but stood in front of the 3,000 light cavalry. Chi! Chi! Sumo's wrist flipped, and the lotus vine was already in her hand. Demon King? A boy in silver armor's brows rose, and his expression changed greatly. You are a Star River reincarnated? Listen to my orders. Get into formation. Take down the Demon King, and the Chilan Demon King will grant you the reincarnation pill. Chapter 723. Reincarnation Pill. 1 reincarnation pill could increase the chances of a 5th blight cultivator becoming a reincarnation cultivator by 30%. It was a top-notch immortal pill that was priceless. Take down the Demon King, and you will be rewarded with the reincarnation pill. This temptation instantly raised the morale of the 3,000 light cavalry. The warhorses neighed loudly. Whoosh! The 3,000 light cavalry suddenly spread out. 300 people formed a group, forming 10 square formations. These 10 square formations actually formed a sphere that trapped the surrounding space in the galaxy. However, the diameter of this sphere was measured in hundreds of miles. An inescapable net. They seemed to be afraid that Sumo would escape. However, Sumo stood in the void, not moving at all, because if he wanted to leave, no formation could stop him, unless there was something like the immeasurable ship. Scarlet, if those light cavalry do not move, you will not move. If they move, kill them. Sumo said, Roar! Scarlet's red robe fluttered in the wind. At the same time, 2 blood-red wings appeared on his back, spanning hundreds of feet. A boy in silver armor did not know about Scarlet. However, the rebirth level aura on his body still made him slightly wary. His 3001 life, immortal realm might not be able to stop a powerful rebirth level cultivator. Winged race. A boy in silver armor thought to himself. This was because he saw Scarlet's pair of wings. Other than the demon race, he only knew that the winged race in the ancient Lotus realm had wings. Chelan Demon King. Sumo, this a boy in silver armor, should be from the Chelan race. His bloodline is pure, which is why I don't see any demon aura, just like the peacock. Yiwu Hui said, looks like Peacock and Chelan are the three great demon kings. They call themselves the godly kings. Hee hee. Sumo laughed coldly. Sir, tell me your name. By Chelan. A boy in silver armor said coldly. I am the third son of the Chelan God King. Chelan Prince? Hee hee. Sumo laughed. I did not want to kill you, but you want to kill me? Hee hee. Looks like I have forgotten some rules of survival after staying in this world for so long. Most of the time, there is no logic in this world. Killing a Chelan is also good. Who? Sumo's expression darkened. Then, she suddenly shook her hand, and the lotus vine flew out. A beam of green light headed straight for Bai Chelan. The lotus vine also turned into a straight bamboo pole that extended infinitely. This move was exactly the same as the move Bai Chelan had used to attack Chun Yucho. Before, Chun Yucho was ready to die. He didn't ask anyone to avenge him, and Sumo didn't have any intention of avenging him. But the moment Sumo decided to act, he subconsciously wanted to seek justice for Chun Yucho, because Chun Yucho did not deserve to die. Izong Demon Race wanted to destroy MOU. Now, there was no doubt about this. But what crime did MOU commit? What crime did Chun Yucho commit? In essence, the demon race was invading the demon moon world. When Bai Chelan saw Sumo make a move, he couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Then he also shook one of his hands. The sound of something piercing through the air rang out. The silver whip shot out to meet the lotus vines. This was exactly the same as the previous battle. The two of them seemed to be doing this on purpose to see who was better and who was better. Boom! The lotus vines and the silver whip collided. Similarly, the umbrella-shaped light beams clashed. But this time, it was green light and silver light. In terms of realm, Bai Chelan had the absolute advantage. After all, Sumo's realm was lower than Chun Yucho's. So what if you're the Demon King? You're no longer the supremacy from back then. This is a Tibetan world, not the Three Realms galaxy. Bai Chelan sneered in his heart. Bang! As expected, the two forces only clashed for a moment. Sumo's disadvantage was already shown. The silver light surged and the green light faded. This situation seemed to be exactly the same as before. At this moment, Sumo's green light had faded to less than 100 jong, while the silver whip's light was over 100 jong. Bai Chelan controlled everything. Looking again, Bai Chelan suddenly took a step forward and the silver whip in his hand shook. Break! His idea was the same as before. He wanted to shatter Sumo's lotus vines. But he was taking it for granted. Sumo's lotus vines were not the Blood Moon sword. Bai Chelan stepped forward and immortal power surged. He wanted to see the lotus vines in Sumo's hand dissipate, but he only saw the light on his silver whip surge, but did not see Sumo's lotus vines dissipate. Hee hee, Sumo sneered. At this moment, he felt the same as Chun Yucho. That Bai Chelan's power was indeed overwhelming. The only difference was that Sumo was holding a lianbua. The lotus vine's level far surpassed the Blood Moon sword. Otherwise, it would have been shattered by Bai Chelan's silver whip. Looking again, the power of the 9 levels of rebirth realm spread between the two divine weapons. Even with the lotus vine supporting him, Sumo still felt immense pressure from such power. Thus, he shook his wrist. Disperse. Whoosh. Chi-chi. The main body of the lotus vines did not move, but like a tree branch, it suddenly extended out countless thin and long vine branches. The branches, like thousands of green snakes, charged straight for Bai Chelan. Lianbua. Bai Chelan did not expect such a sudden change in move. At the same time, he also realized that the green vine in Sumo's hand was a lianbua. Otherwise, with Sumo's realm, it was impossible for her to block his whip, let alone counterattack. However, this move could not do anything to Bai Qilin. The Qilin third prince was definitely not an ordinary person. At this moment, he held the spear in one hand, and his other hand directly spread outwards. Whoosh! Instantly, the sky was filled with starlight. Sumo did not know what treasure Bai Qilin had taken out. In the air, starlight shone like scales. Looking at those starlight and scales, they swept towards those vines that he had spread out. Chi. Wherever the starlight passed, all the vines were actually severed. Sumo was taken aback by this scene. The main body of the lotus vines was naturally in his hands. Those that were spread out were just many branches. However, how could the clone of Lianbo be so easily broken? What exactly did Bai Qilin spread out? Puff! Looking again, that Bai Qilin had a cold smile on his face. Then, he puffed up his cheeks and suddenly blew. In an instant, a hurricane appeared in the void. At the 9th level of the rebirth realm, one could already summon the wind and rain and cast beams to form soldiers. This breath instantly formed a hurricane in the interstellar space. Those starlight that had just severed the clone of the lotus vines followed the hurricane and headed straight for Sumo. So powerful. Sumo was shocked. At the same time, Sumo saw those starlight clearly. They were actually many silver scales. However, each of them was the size of a palm, and they were like flying blades. Qilin true scales. Sumo already understood. At this moment, those scales headed straight for her. With a thought, Sumo already took out the cosmos sack in the air. Whoosh-la! The cosmos sack opened up in the wind. Instantly, that hurricane directly turned into a ray of black light and was collected. At the same time, those scales also flew into the cosmos sack like leaves in the wind. Bai Qilin could not help but be shocked. In the air, that tattered sack that was emitting a chaotic glow actually collected his Qilin scales. One must know that those scales were all treasures that fell off when he transformed into a human. Another piece of Lianbo. Bai Qilin almost did not believe it, because even as the prince of the Qilin race, he did not have a single piece of Lianbo. He only had a venerable divine weapon. Chapter 724. Lianbo could only be refined by Lotus warriors, and Lotus warriors were existences above supremacies. In the entire demon race, Lianbo could be counted on one's fingers. They were all in the hands of Demon King level cultivators. As for Lotus warriors, Bai Qilin had only seen them twice from afar. Although he was the noble Qilin prince, he was not qualified to speak to a real Lotus warrior. In the demon race, only those Demon King level existences were qualified to meet Lotus warriors. So when Bai Qilin saw that Sumo had 2 Lianbo items, he was extremely shocked. To his knowledge, the Three Realms Galaxy was a low-level cultivation world. Although Sumo was once a supremacy there, he could not be mentioned in the same breath as a Lotus warrior. However, Sumo had Lianbo, as expected of the Demon King of the Three Realms. Bai Qilin looked at Sumo coldly. You have 2 Lianbo items. No wonder you dare to fight me. Hee. Sumo laughed. I have plenty of Lianbo. Keep. With a thought, Sumo's cosmos sack covered Bai Qilin's silver whip. Originally, the silver whip had the upper hand in the confrontation with the lotus vine. However, at this moment, an extremely strong suction force caused it to vibrate. However, one end of the silver whip was still in Bai Qilin's hands. At this moment, Bai Qilin felt a strong force pulling on his silver whip. If he was not at the 9th level of the Eternal Realm, he probably could not hold the silver whip. Although this silver whip was not Bai Qilin's natal Dharma treasure, it was still extremely important. He had already lost a silver scale. How could he lose another treasure? Keep, Bai Qilin commanded. The silver whip was kept back into his body. The corner of Sumo's mouth curled up, because this scene was already within his expectations. As soon as Bai Qilin kept the silver whip, his lotus vine grew. Bind. The lotus vine was like a dragon, directly entangling Bai Qilin. Because Bai Qilin was wary of the cosmos sack in the void, he did not immediately use the silver scale soul-severing spear. When he looked again, he formed a seal with both hands. Whoosh! As soon as the seal was formed, four colorful mists instantly appeared around him. Black, white, green, and red. The four-colored mists instantly turned into rainbows and directly entangled Sumo's lotus vines. The auspicious cloud under Baiqilin's feet suddenly moved. His speed was far faster than Sumo's lotus vine. Originally, he was thousands of feet away from Sumo, but in an instant, he was right in front of Sumo. Even though Sumo had predicted this speed, she was still shocked. Baiqilin only stabbed out his silver scale, soul-breaking spear when he got close to Sumo. The silver scale, soul-breaking spear was definitely a venerable divine weapon. It was a level higher than the silver whip. At the same time, it was still in Baiqilin's hands. Therefore, it was not easy for the Cosmos sack to collect it. Moreover, Baiqilin's speed was very fast. With a piercing sound, a silver light pierced straight at Sumo's heart. This move was indeed powerful. If it was an ordinary cultivator at the 5th layer of the rebirth realm, he would have been pierced through. Just now, the first Moon Empress died in this way. Unfortunately, his opponent was Sumo. Boom! In Baiqilin's opinion, his spear would definitely hit. Actually, before he met Sumo, this move of his had never failed before. White Horse and Silver Spear, killing in one move. In the Wisdom realm, in terms of spear techniques, Baiqilin was definitely ranked in the top 3. Therefore, he was extremely confident in his spear techniques. However, this time he did not succeed. In his opinion, he had already pierced Sumo. In fact, he even felt the resistance of piercing through a cultivator's body, heard the sound of immortal chi spreading, and saw a surging blood mist. Collapse! Baiqilin shouted. Then, the silver scale, soul-breaking spear shone brightly and suddenly exploded. However, this time, it was not Sumo's body that exploded, but a sky full of red flowers. Those were blood-colored flowers, roses that filled the sky. They were exploded by the power of Baiqilin's silver spear, but suddenly gathered together, manifesting into a red spear that stabbed at Baiqilin. Baiqilin raised his eyebrows. He did not retreat at all. Instead, he flicked his wrist and used the silver spear in his hand to block. Bang! It had to be said that Baiqilin was still superior. His spear once again scattered the blood rose's spear. Moreover, those red flowers did not gather together again. Instead, they retreated rapidly and then appeared several hundred feet away. There, Sumo stood on the demonic ship, her long hair fluttering as she looked at Baiqilin. Beside him, there was a sea of red flowers. However, his white robe was already stained with a trace of blood. Just now, Baiqilin's spear was too fast and injured his left arm. Baiqilin had an auspicious cloud under his feet, and he had a demonic ship under his feet. Otherwise, Sumo would really not be able to match Baiqilin's speed, unless he used his mystical steps to escape. Even so, he had barely dodged it just now. Baiqilin was indeed a powerful opponent. Lianbua. Baiqilin looked at the demonic ship under Sumo's feet and couldn't help but frown. He didn't recognize the 3 realms demonic ship, but the aura on the demonic ship was extremely strange and powerful. Just now, it seemed that Sumo was not lying when she said that she had more than 1 or 2 Lianbua items on her. In terms of realm, Sumo was far inferior to him. However, the Dharma treasures on Sumo were something that he could not contend against. "You're indeed powerful," Sumo said calmly. Likewise. However, Demon King, do you only have Dharma treasures?" Baiqilin sneered. "If that's the case, you might not be able to dodge my second spear." "Of course not." Sumo did not fall for his provocation. She smiled faintly and said, "However, if I can use Dharma treasures to settle things, I usually choose not to make a move." Whoosh! Looking again, Sumo raised one hand. Looking again, 3 Dharma treasures suddenly flew out from the Cosmos sack. Those 3 Dharma treasures originally did not belong to Sumo. Instead, they belonged to Busiyun during the battle in the Pure Land. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 3 Samsara gray Dharma treasures were thrown out by Sumo as if they were bricks. Actually, any one of them was a cultivator's most valuable treasure. However, to Sumo, they seemed to take up a bit of space. a saber, a sword, and there was really a brick. However, it was not an ordinary brick. It was a black brick that emitted light. Once it appeared, it expanded in the wind and turned into a towering mountain. Clang, clang, boom. Bai Qilin's face turned ashen when Sumo threw out another Dharma treasure. The Qilin race had always been wealthy. However, compared to Sumo, it seemed that he was still lacking by a huge margin. Even the divine King Qilin would not use a Samsara gray Dharma treasure like this. Looking again, Bai Qilin wielded a silver spear and dashed left and right. 2 of the 3 Dharma treasures were directly sent flying by him. The last black mountain was directly smashed by his spear shaft. In an instant, countless fragments turned into meteorites that fell from the sky. Bai Qilin was really like a god of war. However, he was angry in his heart, because this kind of fighting style was very much like a fight between scoundrels. However, when he smashed these 3 Dharma treasures, he suddenly discovered that in front of him and Sumo, there was an endless stream of colorful water. Whoosh, whoosh, the colorful water gently rippled. However, the spiritual energy on the water rippled and overflowed with colorful flowing lights. What kind of technique was this? Was it the Seal River? Chapter 725. The Forbidden Map was a unique spell of the 3 realms. There were only runes in the hidden world, but there were no forbidden maps. Therefore, today was Bai Qilin's first time seeing a forbidden map. He did not know what was going on in front of him. Runes could actually be like the sea. At the same time, he saw that those runes were constantly changing, and they were spreading towards him. What spell was this? Humans were always filled with curiosity or fear towards the unknown. At this moment, Bai Qilin belonged to the latter. At this moment, he felt that he had underestimated the demon king of the 3 realms. The forbidden map surged, layer by layer. Sumo was dressed in white, standing on the red flower demonic boat. His appearance was handsome, and his demeanor was peerless. That was the true demeanor of the demon king of the 3 realms. His hands gently drew in the air. Countless runes gushed out and fused into the forbidden map. Sumo continuously deduced the forbidden map. Actually, every time he used the forbidden map technique, it was an improvement. Bai Qilin's mind moved, and he instantly formed a seal. He knew that he definitely could not let the unknown runes flow to his feet. Sacred Qilin protection. Bai Qilin shouted. Looking again, the auspicious cloud under his feet suddenly surged. 5-colored splendor burst forth from the auspicious cloud. It was actually 5 Qilins of different colors and shapes. Black, white, green, red, yellow. The illusions of the 5-colored Qilins. They stood by Bai Qilin's side, according to the positions of the 5 elements. The 5-colored splendor protected a radius of 300 feet. Every Qilin was dozens of feet tall. Sumo's forbidden map reached the protected area, and indeed could not advance any further. However, Bai Qilin could not help but frown. This was because such a situation had become a stalemate. Sumo's spell could not enter, but if he wanted to charge towards Sumo, it was also impossible. The 9th level of the Rebirth realm, the dignified 3rd prince of the Qilin realm, was actually forced to such a state by a 5th level of the Rebirth realm. This was a situation that Bai Qilin could not accept. He really wanted to take out other Dharma treasures to attack Sumo. However, that mysterious tattered bag kept floating in the air, making Bai Qilin rather apprehensive. Unless it was Lianbua, if he threw out his Dharma treasures, there was a high chance that they would be collected. He couldn't risk it. All of this limited his attacks. On the other side, Sumo was also worried. Holy Qilin protection. It was a defensive spell technique of the sovereign level. Currently, Sumo's forbidden map could not destroy it. His situation was very similar to Bai Qilin's. Similarly, he wouldn't be attacked, but he wouldn't be able to break in either. For a moment, the situation was in a stalemate. This kind of stalemate was something that neither side wanted to see. One had to know that Zhu Yun's star had already exploded. The Demon Moon dynasty of the Moon Imperial Star would soon take action. One must know that there should be a few rebirth level cultivators in the Demon Moon world, although their levels might not be high. However, if 2 rebirth realm cultivators appeared, the situation could be changed, especially that mysterious black-clothed youth. He could control the demonic moon and stars. As long as he appeared, victory or defeat would be decided in an instant. Be it by Qilin or Sumo, both of them felt that the black-clothed young man was their enemy. Therefore, both Sumo and Bai Qilin hoped to end the battle quickly to prevent any accidents from happening. At this moment, Bai Qilin raised his eyebrows. Then, he quickly formed a seal with both hands. It was an extremely ancient seal technique, and it was a secret inheritance of the Qilin race. Bai Qilin would definitely not use it unless it was a critical moment. Whoosh, crack, following Bai Qilin's seal technique. The silver armor on his body automatically fell off, and the blood groove between his eyebrows slowly opened. Whoosh, silver light leaped and flew out from between his eyebrows. It had the head of a lion, antlers of a deer, the eyes of a tiger, the body of an elk, the scales of a dragon, and the tail of an ox. It was covered in silver light, and clouds appeared under its feet. It was actually a silver Qilin. Crack, crack. The armor that Bai Qilin took off instantly transformed and then put on the silver Qilin's body. Primordial spirit projection. Sumo couldn't help but be stunned. It looked very much like the primordial spirit projection of a cultivator. However, he understood that Bai Qilin would definitely not use such a technique at this moment. Whether a primordial spirit would be useful or not was not discussed for now. Most importantly, if the primordial spirit was really destroyed, then Bai Qilin would definitely fall into a state of death. He would not take the risk. Boom, roar. And at this moment, that silver Qilin suddenly leaped out of the sacred Qilin's protective formation and went straight for Sumo. Between Sumo and Bai Qilin, other than the sacred Qilin's light, there was also the Forbidden Map's wave. However, that silver Qilin could actually walk on the wave and was not affected by Sumo's Forbidden Map at all. His voice was like thunder, rolling endlessly and resounding in the void. Sound wave attack. Sumo's mind shook violently. Yi Wu Hui sat in Sumo's consciousness. At that moment, her body involuntarily swayed, and her soul body almost became unstable. Sumo, Yi Wu Hui couldn't help but call out softly. Seal. With a thought, Sumo directly sealed her own hearing. However, that sound wave actually formed a tangible air current, directly stirring up Sumo's Forbidden Map and causing it to tumble. Once the Forbidden Map moved, Bai Qilin's hand seal changed. Whoosh! 5 protective Qilins suddenly spread outwards. In an instant, Bai Qilin's power compressed Sumo's Forbidden Map by nearly 100 feet. Bai Qilin took a step forward, directly approaching Sumo. Roar! That silver Qilin roared to the sky, its voice even louder than before. At the same time, it opened its mouth. Whoosh, whoosh! White flames that filled the sky instantly rushed towards Sumo like a sea of fire. However, those flames could not completely break through the protection of Sumo's Forbidden Map. Nevertheless, they attacked with heat waves. As long as Sumo's Forbidden Map was broken, she would be engulfed by those white flames. It had to be said that this wave of attack by Bai Qilin was quite powerful. Qilin Fighting Soul. That was not Bai Qilin's primordial spirit. In reality, that was a special summoning technique. In the Qilin race, as long as one reached the rebirth state, they could summon the Qilin Fighting Soul. And the form of the Qilin Fighting Soul was exactly the same as the summoner's primordial spirit. That Qilin Fighting Soul was not ordinary. It could even fight against the 9 rebirth realms. Roar! The Qilin's roar made all the beasts tremble. That sound wave attack was definitely a special secret technique. It was both a spiritual attack and a physical attack. Although Sumo had sealed her hearing, she could still feel the damage of the sound wave. Sumo. Yi Wu Hui's face was pale. At this moment, she could feel the attack that Sumo had suffered. Sumo could be safe and sound, but Yi Wu Hui could not. Their realms were completely different. If this kind of sound wave continued, Yi Wu Hui might turn into ashes. At that moment, a blood-red light flashed across Sumo's eyes. He definitely could not let anything happen to Yi Wu Hui. Looking again, Sumo's hand seal changed. The forbidden map under his feet rapidly shrunk to a radius of 10 feet, but it was impenetrable and protected him tightly. The forbidden map no longer fluctuated and was as still as a mountain. At the same time, Sumo's mind moved. Buzz, boom, looking again, an item flew out from the Cosmos bag. Originally, Sumo did not intend to use it. But now that things had come to this, she had to use it. Even Yuwuhue had not seen that treasure before. Roar! At this moment, the silver Qilin actually lowered its head and charged towards the treasure like a raging bull. Chapter 726. Buzz, boom! It could be said that the silver Qilin's move was exactly what Sumo wanted, because he had taken out an ancient bell, the Yin-Yang Bell. He had obtained this bell from the Windwheel Palace in the Bone Mainland. In the Windwheel Palace, Sumo had obtained a total of 3 treasures: the Yin-Yang Bell, the Life and Death Tree, and the Soul Depository Cauldron. However, due to various reasons, Sumo had never used the other 2 treasures except the Soul Depository Cauldron. Moreover, the White Robe Guardian King did not say how to use them or how powerful they were. However, from the Lotus Vine and the Universal Pouch, one could tell that everything in the Windwheel Palace should not be underestimated. The Yin-Yang Bell was undoubtedly the Lianbua. Moreover, it might be even more powerful than the Lotus Vine and the Soul Depository Cauldron. Otherwise, it would not have been hanging on the withered life and death tree all this time. It had been silent for tens of thousands of years. In Sumo's opinion, it must be a great weapon of mass destruction. The Yin-Yang Bell. Sumo suspected that it could determine the life and death of a cultivator with one sound. Today, if not for the situation, Sumo would not have taken it out. Sumo was also gambling. The silver Qilin, with its own fighting soul, was not afraid at all. The silver armor on its body increased its battle prowess. At this moment, it would even dare to hit a star, let alone an ancient bell. The Qilin fighting soul could totally make a star fall. At this moment, not only did the Qilin fighting soul think so, but Bai Qilin also had the same thought. Sumo's forbidden painting had already shrunk to a radius of 10 feet. No matter what kind of spell it was, in Bai Qilin's opinion, Sumo would not be able to withstand the attack of the Qilin fighting soul. He naturally did not recognize the Yin-Yang Bell. The bell was ancient and colorful, and it was not eye-catching. Bai Qilin, of course, knew that he could not judge a treasure by its appearance. However, so what if it was another Lianbua? As long as the Qilin fighting soul could create a flaw in Sumo's forbidden painting, Bai Qilin was confident that he could pierce through Sumo. This time, he would definitely not fail. Therefore, the moment the Qilin fighting soul hit the ancient bell, Bai Qilin also moved. The white cloud under his feet sped through the galaxy like an arrow. Everything happened in an instant, in the blink of an eye. Boom, hum, hum, boom. As expected, the silver Qilin collided with the Yin-Yang Bell. Hum, hum. Looking again, the Yin-Yang Bell did not move at all, but dust was flying everywhere. It was as if a desert that had not risen in tens of thousands of years had been swept into an endless hurricane. At that moment, even Sumo was shocked. That was because the ancient bell only looked slightly dusty. There was no dust at all. Qilin, that the Chun Qilin. At that moment, Sumo seemed to have forgotten that each grain of sand was a world. How could everything in the Windwheel Palace be judged by common sense? Qilin Heaven. The sandstorm swallowed the silver Qilin like endless quicksand trying to drown a camel. The Qilin, that the Qilin of Yang armor. The Qilin was that spirit Yang Qilin with Xian armor. The King QQ Qilin Q Qilin Lin battle was that, and Spirit Palace was that Qin was Q Yang Yang of King of. At the last moment, the Qilin fighting soul seemed to want to leap up, but a huge wave came and knocked it over. The Qilin was drowning. Bai Qilin could not believe his eyes. In his mind, even the Lotus treasure wouldn't have such power. The Qilin fighting soul was the symbol of the Qilin race. However, Bai Qilin was shocked. The dust storm did not dissipate. Instead, it formed a torrent of sand that was tens of thousands of feet long and rushed towards him. What followed was the sound of the bell that sounded like the tides of the sea. Bang, bang. The black Qilin that was closest to Sumo was destroyed. Then, the second red Qilin disappeared. Bai Qilin's sacred Qilin protective array was broken. All of these changes happened in an instant. Bai Qilin did not have time to react. It was too fast. Moreover, he was already holding the silver scale soul breaking spear in his hand. He was rushing towards the dust storm. What welcomed him was not Sumo's forbidden painting, but the endless dust and sonic booms. Even if he was at the 9 levels of rebirth, he would die under the yin-yang bell. Not only did he not expect it, but Sumo also did not expect it. The yin-yang bell was so powerful. It was a power that could easily destroy a small world. Unfortunately, the white-robed Guardian King did not tell Sumo that the yin-yang bell was not the life and death of a cultivator, but the life and death of an entire world. Everything was silent when the bell rang. Moreover, the silver Qilin had charged at it without any regard for its life. If Sumo had a demonic thought, the entire Demon Moon world would be destroyed by the yin-yang bell. It was possible for the 9 stars to be destroyed. Buzz woo! Loud sounds came from the yin-yang bell. Layers of sound waves came one after another. Father, save me. At the last moment, a talisman lit up on Bai Qilin's body. That was his protective talisman. It took effect automatically. A ray of colorful light shot towards Haoyu. Even thousands of miles away, that ray of light could be seen. It shone on the stars. Boom! Crack! Unexpectedly, the colorful light forcefully carved out a bloody path in the dust storm. That was the power of a supremacy. Who hurt my son? In the colorful light, a 5-colored Qilin stood in the middle of it. The Qilin's power was something that none of the previous Qilins could compare to. The Qilin King, a divine thought. Sumo's eyes narrowed. That was an existence that could suppress a great world. Because he was a supremacy, just like the demon venerable snow shadow. However, Sumo had no intention of stopping. So what if he was the Qilin King? She would kill him if she could. It was not like Sumo had never killed a supremacy before. Whoosh woo. He made up his mind, and the dust storm that had been dispersed instantly gathered. Then it pounced on the Qilin King. In the distance, the yin-yang bell buzzed like a war drum. That Qilin King was Bai Qilin's last life-saving measure. However, he probably did not expect to face such a scene as soon as he appeared. Roar! The Qilin King roared into the sky. That roar shook the entire Demon Moon world. All the Demon Moon cultivators were shocked. They still did not know what had happened. However, Sumo's expression turned even colder. That was because he was once a powerful supremacy. At this moment, the Qilin King's behavior made Sumo very uncomfortable. Whoosh! The Qilin King opened his mouth and spat out a 5-colored hurricane. This was many times more powerful than the wind that Bai Qilin had spat out. In an instant, the universe was filled with dust. It was as if the world had changed. At this moment, if one looked from afar, it would seem as if a gray star belt had appeared. The universe was changing. The supremacy's divine thought indeed blocked the dust in the yin and yang bell. Those who hurt my son will die. The Qilin King looked around and shouted. Huh! Sumo stood on the demonic ship in snow-white clothes and sneered. I want to see who will die. Look under your feet. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, Bai Qilin and the Qilin King's divine thought realized that they had already stepped on the endless runic water. Just now, they had been focused on dealing with the dust storm and sound waves of the yin-yang bell and had forgotten to defend themselves. Sumo's forbidden map had unknowingly spread under their feet. At this moment, with Sumo as the center, the world within a radius of dozens of miles had become a world of forbidden maps. Demon King of the 3 realms? At this moment, the Qilin King's divine thought seemed to see who his enemy was. Greetings, Supremacy Qilin. The corners of Sumo's mouth curled up. Then his expression changed, and he shouted softly, Forbidden map, time-space reincarnation. Whoosh, the space above the forbidden map reversed. Chapter 727. The Reincarnation of Time and Space, the Pink Skeleton. Within the forbidden map, Sumo was the king, unless he encountered a demonic little girl like Wang Shui. However, There was only one Wang Shui in all the realms. Be it by Qilin or the venerable Qilin's spiritual consciousness, they knew nothing about forbidden maps. They only knew about runes, but not forbidden maps. Sumo's seal appeared. They only felt everything in front of them change instantly. The sumo in front of them suddenly disappeared. What appeared next was a series of ever-changing scenes. Everything that had just happened was replaying itself. However, it was a rapid reversal of events. Bai Qilin and the spiritual consciousness of the venerable Qilin felt that they were involuntarily retreating, or rather, the runes under their feet were moving forward. The change in space caused time to flow backward. Illusion? No. This was because they felt that everything around them was real, and they could even touch it if they stretched out their hands. Space-time lotus technique. The venerable Qilin's spiritual consciousness said, and then disappeared in front of Bai Qilin. Space-time arrived at the node where the venerable Qilin's spiritual consciousness did not appear. Bai Qilin's expression changed, and he once again fell into an unknown fear. Because space-time flowed backward, there are not many changes to him. At that moment, he seemed to be pulled into a space of the past by an inexplicable force. He could not refuse, and he could not stay. Lotus technique? He remembered what the venerable Qilin's spiritual consciousness had said. The demon king of the three realms had completely exceeded his imagination. Lianbua. Lotus technique. Everything about sumo overturned Bai Qilin's understanding of the three realms and the galaxy. With such a configuration, was she really just a demon king of the three realms? She could probably be a demon king of the three realms. At that moment, Bai Qilin began to have a new understanding of the galaxy and sumo. He recalled the legend of Huang in the Yizong demon race and could not help but shudder. Perhaps Peacock and Qilin were wrong. They had both chosen a path that they should not have chosen. Unfortunately, Bai Qilin realized it too late. That was because he was about to die, but he could die without regrets. If he died in the hands of sumo, it would not be in vain. However, Bai Qilin's heart stirred, and the corners of his lips curled into a cold smile. Unknowingly, sumo was already standing in front of him. Her clothes were as white as snow, and her face was extremely beautiful. This was an appearance that was extremely recognizable even in the infinite worlds of vast universe. However, Sumo's expression was slightly cold. Third Prince, do you have any regrets? I have no regrets. Now that things had come to this, Bai Qilin relaxed and smiled faintly. He maintained the bearing and nobility of the Qilin clan. He did not beg for mercy, nor was he afraid. Very good. Sumo nodded, and at this moment, Bai Qilin discovered that his realm was actually starting to drop. Based on his deduction, he might have been brought by Sumo to a space where he had yet to enter the rebirth state. Your lotus art is indeed impressive. Bai Qilin smiled as he looked at Sumo. But what? Sumo asked. But I don't think you can reverse time and space. If I'm not within your seal, you won't be able to change anything. Am I right? Bai Qilin said to Sumo, what you are changing is not actual time and space, but the space within your seal. Only in here can you control time and space. Hee. Sumo looked at Bai Qilin and said, Third Prince, what are you trying to say? I want to say that you can't change anything outside of the seal. You can kill me, but you can't stop the entire hidden spirit race. This is because your realm is too low. Most importantly, Bai Qilin looked at Sumo and paused again. Speak. Sumo used her finger to tap Bai Qilin's glabella. Hee. Before I die, I'll give you a message. Bai Qilin smiled faintly. Demon King, remember that dust is no longer dust and desolate is no longer desolate. What? Sumo's expression changed. Ha. Bai Qilin suddenly laughed out loud. Demon King of the three realms, you might be a pitiful person. What you're searching for might never be found. Forever, ha. After that, you will suffer endless pain and suffering. I hope that you will understand as long as you continue to live. Everything you love has been destroyed. Ha. Bai Qilin's laughter reverberated in different spaces. At that moment, Sumo was slightly stunned. He wanted to know more. However, the blood groove on Bai Qilin's glabella suddenly dispersed, and his body suddenly turned into a beam of silver light before dissipating. Bai Qilin had actually chosen to self-destruct instead of self-destructing. Just as he had said, he wished for Sumo to live, to suffer endless suffering and pain. That wasn't a curse, but everything he had seen. Whoosh, whoosh, following Bai Qilin's dissipation, Sumo's forbidden map rapidly retracted. That Qilin's divine consciousness had already disappeared and was no longer a threat. And in the interstellar space, there was still the dust storm and the forbidden map. Sumo stood alone in the interstellar space in a daze, feeling a little lost. The yin-yang bell and cosmos sack were still suspended in the void. Sumo! Sumo! Yi Wu Hui called twice, and only then did Sumo come back to her senses. Yes, Sumo responded. Everything is not decided yet. The meaning of Bai Qilin's words is unclear, and you can't make wild guesses. Moreover, he knew that there was no hope of living in the end, and maybe he just wanted to mess up your mind. Sumo, everything will only be clear when we return to the real Dead Soul's star domain spacetime. Yi Wu Hui said, after all, this is millions of years ago. Yes. When Sumo heard that, she let out a long breath. Yi Wu Hui's words made a lot of sense. However, she had to admit that Bai Qilin's words had indeed made her a little uneasy. Dust was no longer dust, and desolation was no longer desolation. What did that mean? Bai Qilin must have meant something, but he just didn't say it clearly. Whoosh! At this moment, there was a sudden wind in the interstellar space. It was only then that Sumo looked around and found something strange. Just now, she performed time and space reincarnation and entered the reincarnation space-time. However, everything here was not within his forbidden map. However, it was obvious that there was a slight change here. Where are the 3,000 light cavalrymen? Where's Chili? Yi Wu Hui also found something strange. The 3,000 light cavalrymen had originally set up a great formation. However, they didn't really join the battle. Chili confronted them and didn't make a move. However, at this moment, they had all disappeared without a trace. What's going on? Sumo couldn't help but be moved, and she instantly spread out her divine sense. Once the Eternal Realm's divine sense was fully spread out, it could almost cover the entire Demon Moon world. Ha ha! At this moment, a young man's laughter suddenly came from the interstellar space. That laughter was crisp, and it was mixed with a trace of desolation, which sounded quite strange. And Sumo couldn't help but frown, and then she turned her head to look. Extremely far away, a young man in black was standing on a black coffin, and he was smiling at her strangely. And behind him was a huge star, the Moon Sovereign. In the shadow of the Moon Sovereign, there were the 3,000 light cavalrymen and Chili. They were motionless like wooden puppets. Chapter 728. The Black-Robed Young Man. Sumo was both surprised and not surprised by his appearance. Because Sumo knew that as long as she had enough time, the black-robed young man would definitely arrive. The black-robed young man would definitely arrive. Chunyu Cho had died in battle, Zhu Yun's star had been destroyed, and even the Kirin Demon King's divine consciousness had appeared. How could the Devil Moon Empire just sit back and watch such a big commotion? After all, this was the territory of the Devil Moon Empire. However, the black-robed young man's appearance still surprised Sumo. The way he appeared was a bit special. He was still standing on a black coffin. More importantly, the position of the Moon Empress had changed. It was right behind the black-robed young man. The entire Moon Empress star was the background of the black-robed young man. At that moment, Sumo was even confused. Was the black-robed young man controlling the Moon Empress, or was it the Moon Empress star that pushed the black-robed young man out? Not only that, Sumo's divine consciousness had already sensed it. At this moment, except for Zhu Yun's star, the other 7 demon moons had changed their positions. They were all lined up behind the Moon Empress star, forming a fan shape. In the space of billions of miles, they seemed to have formed a formation. However, the Moon Empress star blocked Sumo's view. It had to be said that it was an extremely shocking scene. It seemed that the black-robed young man had brought the 8 stars of the demon moon to suppress Sumo. What surprised Sumo even more was that she didn't know why Baichilin's 3,000 light cavalrymen and Scarlet Child were standing in the shadow of the Moon Empress star. At this moment, Sumo secretly urged Scarlet Child. However, the Scarlet Child puppet didn't have any reaction. The connection between him and Sumo seemed to be cut off by some special force. The black-robed young man, smiled at Sumo. His voice was still so strange. Demon King, your puppet belongs to me now. It's not under your control anymore. Then, he looked at the black-robed young man and raised one hand. Whoosh! Scarlet Child took a step forward. He slightly spread his wings, as if he would attack Sumo as soon as the black-robed young man gave the order. At that moment, Sumo sucked in a breath of cold air. His puppet had actually unknowingly become someone else's puppet. Sumo had never encountered or even heard of such a situation before. Can Bu Miaoqian do that? Sumo asked Yi Wuhui. As far as I know, it's impossible. Yi Wuhui shook her head. She also felt that it was inconceivable. Ancestral Master's puppet art can be said to be invincible in all worlds. However, I've never seen him directly take someone else's puppet. This kind of situation where you can control other people's puppets can only happen if you kill its original owner or if the other party gives the puppet to you. I don't know how this black-clothed youth did it, Yi Wuhui finally said. Sumo secretly frowned, but her expression remained the same. He looked at the young man in black and smiled coldly. I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon. However, I don't know how to address you. Are you the Moon Empress or a demon? Hee. Ha. The black-clothed youth seemed to have two voices in his throat. They overlapped and sounded very uncomfortable. Then I would like to ask you, are you the Dark Supreme, Xiao Luo, or Murong Huang? Sumo couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. It seems that you know a lot. Those are all me. Right now, I am called Sumo. The black-clothed youth heard and nodded. Since you put it that way, I can answer your question. I am the Moon Empress and also a demon. Moreover, I'm a very special demon. Oh, Sumo smiled coldly. I heard that there are 3 demon kings in the Yizong demon clan. Right now, I already know of the Peacock Demon King and the Qilin Demon King. Are you the 3rd? Hee. No. The black-clothed youth shook his head in a very mature manner. There are indeed 3 demon kings in the Yizong world. Peacock, Qilin, and Kuan Butterfly. However, they are not me, but I can. It's all them. Oh, Sumo was stunned. Then who are you? You can call me Chun Yu Huang. The black-clothed youth looked at Sumo and smiled weirdly. Or desolate shadow of demons. What do you mean? Sumo's pupil shrank. Actually, I should thank you. The black-clothed youth didn't answer Sumo's question. Instead, he changed the topic. Baichiling came to the Demon Moon world to kill me. However, you killed him and saved me a lot of trouble. You're a defying demon cultivator? Sumo asked. Defying demon cultivator? Hee. The black-clothed youth heard and nodded. This term is well used. At least, it is better than what they said. They called me a defying demon. Hee. However, what did I betray? I just don't want to be under the 3 demon kings. I only want to be myself. The black-clothed youth's 2 voices seemed to be a little depressed. I don't want to be the shadow of 10,000 demons. I want to play around in the reincarnation cycle and be free. Sumo frowned, because he didn't really understand what the black-clothed youth was saying. I can tell you a story. The black-clothed youth raised his head. That 12-year-old youth's face seemed to have a hint of innocence and immaturity. Sumo didn't reply. He, of course, didn't want to listen to a story. However, he knew that the black-clothed youth was definitely not telling an ordinary story. The Yizong demon race is actually one of the most ancient existences in the Yizong world. They are the same as the demons of the 3 realms. They usually call themselves the Ling race and not the demon race. The Prajna world is the world of the demon race. Countless demons were among them. Actually, other than the 3 demon kings, there are many powerful demons in the history of the demon race. However, some of them lost their inheritance and left the Prajna world. Afterwards, in order to prevent the inheritance from being lost and to make the demon race stronger, many powerful demons joined hands to create a Tao technique. They gave this technique a name, shadow. Shadow? Sumo couldn't help but look at the black-clothed youth. Hee hee, that's right. The black-clothed youth looked at Sumo and smiled. And I am Shadow. My previous self was only a Tao technique of the demon race. However, this Tao technique of mine became a real cultivator. Sumo was shocked. Shadow, as the name suggests, is when many powerful demons whose inheritance is about to be lost hide their most powerful Tao technique in the shadow. Then, this Tao shadow continues to complete the inheritance. However, those techniques fused with each other and mutated. Therefore, you appeared. Sumo asked. That's right. The black-clothed youth smiled very proudly. Therefore, I am the shadow of 10,000 demons. I possess many ancient secret techniques of the demon race. On this point, even the 3 demon kings might not be as good as me. However, you are only a shadow. Sumo frowned. A shadow might not even be as good as a soul. You need a host. Speaking to this point, Sumo's heart couldn't help but tremble, because he thought of a possibility. Hee hee, that's right. The black-clothed youth smiled. I have always been searching for a suitable host. However, their physiques are too weak. They die not long after. Finally, many tens of thousands of years ago, I met a reincarnator of the 3 realms. He was called Xiao Huang. Chapter 729. Xiao Huang. To Sumo, these 2 words are like a muffled thunder. Although when he knew that the wild shadow of the demon needed a host, he felt that it was possible. But when he heard the 2 words Xiao Huang from the other party's mouth, Sumo was still shocked. In that instant, the sea of flowers around Sumo couldn't help but sway slightly. The demon boat was lightly moving on the sea of flowers. But Sumo stood on the demon boat, as steady as Mount Tai. At this time, he needed to be calm. His white robe fluttered. His black hair flew like a dragon. Even so, Sumo's killing intent was slowly rising. Yin Yang Bell and Qian Kuan Bag were floating in the air. He could fight to the death at any time. Xiao Huang? Hee hee. Sumo looked at the black-robed youth and sneered. You devoured him? I can't call it devouring. The black-robed youth shook his head. But what? Sumo said. But I did merge with him. But he could only choose to be merged with me. Merging with him was his own decision. The black-robed youth smiled strangely, because without me, he would not even leave a trace in this hidden world. Maybe no one would know that he was here. What do you mean? Sumo frowned. Tens of thousands of years ago, I met Xiao Huang in Hanya Realm. At that time, he was only a one-world, undying initial stage, and had just awakened not long ago. At that time, his soul was about to be destroyed. The black-robed youth said. Who hurt him? Sumo asked. Peacock, the black-robed youth said, but as for which peacock, he himself did not know. Peacock, why did you hurt him? Sumo asked again. Hee hee, the black-robed youth laughed. Why did you hurt him? Because he exposed his identity as a Star River reincarnator, and 3-realm reincarnators are not tolerated by the Hanya demon race. Hee hee, Hanya demon race? Sumo smiled lightly, his expression calm, but his hands behind his back clenched tightly. So, Xiao Huang was chased by the cultivators of the Peacock clan. He risked his life to escape, but he's already beyond saving. The black-clothed youth said. Fortunately, he met me. Lucky. Sumo looked at the black-clothed youth playfully. Is it really lucky? Of course it's luck, the black-clothed youth said. From a certain perspective, we have helped each other. Hee hee. Go on, Sumo said. At that time, my host was about to dissipate again, said the black-robed youth. Xiao Luo's body was just what I wanted. Because he has the blood of a demon and a demon, he is far from a normal demon. However, the host I choose must be willing to accept me in order to fuse with me. Therefore, I made a deal with Xiao Huang. The black-clothed youth's lips curved. It seemed like he was very satisfied with the deal. What deal? Sumo said. In his name, I will avenge him. In the future, I will wipe out the entire peacock race and leave a trace of him in this world. Saying that, the black-clothed youth pointed at the Huang character between his eyebrows. And I confused with his body, and I am no longer a parasite. I have my own will and soul. This is asking a tiger for its skin, making a deal with a demon. Yi Wuhui let out a long sigh in his sea of consciousness. Yes, Sumo frowned. His feeling was the same as Yi Wuhui. At that time, he had no other choice. The black-clothed youth saw through Sumo's thoughts. Other than me, no one can help Xiao Huang fulfill his last wish. If he did not make a deal with me, his soul would be destroyed, leaving no trace in this hidden world. Because he should be the first Star River reincarnator. The first Star River reincarnator. Sumo was stunned. Hee. The black-clothed youth laughed. That's right. The first Star River reincarnator. It seems like you still don't know this situation. Actually, the Star River reincarnator uses millions of years as a unit, continuously reincarnating in batches. Xiao Huang seems to be in the first batch. Therefore, in a vast wisdom world, he was isolated and helpless. In the end, he could only hold on to me. At that time, if he reincarnated in the Dead Soul Star domain, perhaps it would have been much better. The black-clothed youth said. Why? Because in the Dead Soul Star domain, there is a Star River reincarnator, Black and White Demon King? Sumo said. Oh, this time, it was the black-clothed youth's turn to be surprised. It seems that you have already been to the Chun Luo 7-star world. Otherwise, how would you know about the Black and White Demon King? I have been there, Sumo said. Moreover, I killed a peacock. Good kill, the black-clothed youth said. But it seems that you did not fulfill your promise to Xiao Huang. Sumo said coldly. There should be many cultivators in the Peacock clan, right? The black-clothed youth raised his head and looked at Sumo coldly. Demon King, although I came from a demon shadow, I will definitely keep my promise. If I did not do my best to fulfill my promise, I would not have become like this today. Oh, that year, I swore on my soul that if I had any lies to Xiao Huang, my soul would disappear. The black-clothed youth said. At first, I fused everything of Xiao Huang, including part of his memories. After resting for 10,000 years, I continued to assassinate the Peacock clan, leaving behind the word Huang every time. So, for a long period of time, because Xiao Huang was still alive, the demon clan's cultivation improved greatly. The thousands of Prajna demons worshipped Qilin, Peacock, and Kuan Butterfly. However, I can guarantee that the Peacock clan's cultivators have withered. Today, the entire Peacock clan's population should not exceed 300. Moreover, other than the Peacock Demon King and Peacock Princess, there is absolutely no one in the rebirth realm. The Peacock clan is one of the 3 great demons, but it is an endangered clan in the Prajna world. The black-clothed youth said until here, and could not help but let out an ear-piercing strange laugh. That was all done by you? Sumo was still doubtful of the black-clothed youth's words. As long as I am not dead. The black-clothed youth looked at Sumo with determination. I will definitely kill the Peacock clan. However, I am still not the Peacock Demon King's opponent. The reason why I am hiding in the Demon Moon world is because of him. The Peacock clan was constantly being killed, especially the Rebirth Realm Peacock. They started to suspect if it was Xiao Huang. The black-clothed youth's eyes revealed a cold light. Originally, I wanted to create the illusion that the Qilin clan was assassinating the Peacock clan. So, I used the Qilin clan's techniques to assassinate the Peacock clan. I did not expect that when I was assassinating Peacock Princess, they discovered Xiao Huang's appearance. They thought that Xiao Huang was my new host. In the end, the Peacock Demon King attacked and heavily injured me, and issued a demon-killing order in the entire Prajna world. I could only escape from the Prajna world and wander to the Dead Souls star field. Finally, I hid in the Demon Moon world. Then, what is your relationship with the 4th Moon Emperor? Sumo asked. Contractor. The black-clothed youth laughed coldly. To be precise, I had a contract with him. However, in the end, he wanted to violate the contract, so I devoured him. Devoured in the true sense of the word. because he wanted to completely control me and use me. That is simply a fool's dream. So, I want to take over all of his power and use it for me. The demon moon world will be buried with the moon emperor, but all of his power belongs to me. The black-clothed youth spread out his hands. The 8 stars of the demon moon instantly emitted light. At that moment, he was indeed the god of the demon moon world. Chapter 730. Desolate Demon Shadow. The words of the black-clothed youth could explain the previous situation. However, Sumo still had reservations. This was because he needed more confirmation. The words of the black-clothed youth could not be easily trusted. When did you swallow the 4th moon empress? Sumo asked. Before his 5th decay, it was already completed. The black-clothed youth said. Oh, Sumo sneered. So, the 4th moon empress during the decay of the 5th decay is already you. Chun Yu Cho did not discover your secret? He did not discover it. Actually, as a demon shadow, I did not have the 5th decay. The black-clothed youth said. But Izong Demon Clan found me. Bloodbat. Sumo said. That's right. The black-clothed youth sighed. In Izong Demon Clan, Bloodbat is the strongest scout. They have the ability to copy and spread. My demonic aura could fool Chun Yu Cho, but could not fool Bloodbat. In Demon Moon Palace, it saw me. Fortunately, that Bloodbat was sealed by Chun Yu Cho and Chi Mei. Sumo said. Yes. The black-clothed youth smiled. I was afraid that Izong Demon Clan would continue to search for me. So, I fell into a deep sleep and completely sealed myself. During that time, I did not know if Izong Demon Clan came. However, I managed to escape from their pursuit. Since you swallowed the Moon Empress, why did you fake your death and reincarnate? Sumo asked. You could have used the body of Moon Empress to control everything. The black-clothed youth shook his head. I said, I will use the name of Xiao Huang to take revenge and then leave his traces. So I want to turn Moon Empress into Xiao Huang. Otherwise, I will be untrustworthy. Demon Moon Palace was built by you? So, it is a Huang character? Sumo said. That's right. After the pilgrimage, those pilgrims had their souls changed. What happened? Sumo asked again. That is just a smokescreen. Actually, each soul is my divine sense. The black-robed youth sneered, because without such a devout soul, my spiritual sense would not be able to possess a body. I need to conceal myself and improve myself at the same time. Originally, I still needed some time to complete everything. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the appearance of a teenager. Unfortunately, Chun Yu Cho destroyed everything. Sumo said. That's right. The black-clothed youth sighed. Chun Yu Cho has been loyal to MOU his entire life. He will never accept a Moon Empress like me. But can Chi Mei? Sumo said. Of course. Because everything Chi Mei has was given to him by me, said the black-clothed youth. Actually, he suspected my origins, but he was absolutely loyal to me. In his eyes, there's only me, the Moon Empress, and no MOU. Chun Yu Cho is exactly the opposite. What great game of chess. Sumo coldly said, Chi Mei died for you. Chun Yu Cho also died for you in the end. My awakening this time alarmed all the demons. Or rather, they have always been lurking in the Dead Soul's star domain. The black-clothed youth sighed. They thought that I had become the Moon Empress, so they first got rid of Chun Yu Cho. After all, he was the strongest in the MOU world. Sumo shook her head, momentarily at a loss for words. In fact, many times the truth was unexpected. At that moment, if Chun Yu Chao's soul had not dissipated, he would probably have let out a helpless sigh. He eventually died at the hands of Bai Qilin, but in essence, he did not die for MOU. He had been schemed against in the end. You were the one who leaked Fire Cloud Palace's location to the demons, right? Sumo scoffed. If not, I believe that the Qilin race would never have found this place in a vast star domain. The black-clothed youth looked at Sumo and said with a laugh, Demon King, you are indeed impressive. That's right. I was the one who leaked Fire Cloud Palace's location to them. Killing with a borrowed knife. Sumo nodded. What a good killing with a borrowed knife. In fact, even I became your assassin this time. Isn't that so? Demon King, you were a variable. The black-clothed youth said, you were not part of my plan, but you insisted on getting involved in this mess. Then why did you want to kill me back then in Moon Empress? Sumo asked again. I thought you were a cultivator sent by the demons, because only the wisdom demon race knows about desolate. Back then, you wanted me to explain the word desolate. If you had appeared in your true form as the Demon King, I would have recognized you, said the black-clothed youth. Sumo, everything he said basically makes sense. Yi Wu-Hui had been listening all this while and was constantly questioning. However, the black-clothed youth's answer did not have any flaws. Sumo sighed inwardly. He could ignore everything else, but Xiao Huang's death was something he did not wish to face. Xiao Huang is dead? Sumo looked at the black-clothed youth and asked in a deep voice. Yes, the black-clothed youth's voice was hoarse. Back then, even if I did not make a deal with him, he would not have lived for more than an hour. I did not kill him. Yes. Sumo nodded heavily. He could only choose to believe the black-clothed youth's words for the time being. You inherited part of his memory? Sumo asked again. Yes. The black-clothed youth nodded and said, however, it is not complete and even a little fragmented. There are memories of the galaxy and some of the memories after reincarnation. Then, can you give me those memories? Sumo said slowly. The black-clothed youth hesitated for a moment. I know, it will damage your soul. Sumo raised her hand, and a red pellet flew out from the Cosmos bag. This is a reincarnation-level vitality pill. It is enough to repair your soul, and can even help you complete your soul. I think, after tens of thousands of years of continuous possession and fusion, the damage to your soul is definitely not light. Otherwise, you would not have such a strange voice and repeated syllables. Hee. The black-clothed youth heard and nodded. Demon King is indeed straightforward. Good. I will give you Xiao Huang's memory. That will also prove that I did not lie. As he spoke, the black-clothed youth formed a seal with both hands. Looking again, a ball of light instantly appeared between his eyebrows. That ball of light was abnormally smooth, and it was colorful. That ball of light was very similar to the memory ball that Sumo had seen in the God Fantasy sect. Who? The black-clothed youth did not hesitate, and with a wave of his hand, he sent that ball of light to Sumo. Thank you. Sumo waved her hand and immediately gave that vitality pill to the black-clothed youth. Thank you. The black-clothed youth cupped his fists. He really did need this vitality pill, because his soul injury was actually quite serious. Otherwise, he would not need to use his soul to nourish his soul. Even though he had retracted his tens of thousands of doppelgangers, his injury was still not optimistic. This vitality pill could help him in his hour of need. Sumo gently stroked that ball of light. At that moment, he seemed to see the figure of Huang, and a layer of mist appeared in his eyes. Chapter 731. The bond between father and son, even in the cycle of reincarnation, could not be severed. Sumo calmed himself down and put away Xiao Huang's memory ball. Then he pointed at the scarlet child in the shadow of the Moon Empress and said, That puppet, return it to me. The 3,000 light cavalry are yours. Sumo's tone was firm and unquestionable. All right. The youth in black smiled. Demon King, you can let him go? Looking again, the shadow of the Moon Empress had already disappeared from the puppet. In an instant, Sumo felt that she had re-established a connection with the puppet. It seemed that the youth in black did not truly control the puppet. That was just one of his shadow techniques. Just now, he only temporarily blocked the connection between Sumo and the puppet and simulated Sumo's order. However, as long as there was no shadow, the puppet would not be under his control. Then, Sumo summoned Scarlet Child back with a thought. Demon Desolate Shadow, this demon moon world will eventually be destroyed. I'm afraid you can't protect it. If you want to find a peacock race, you can go to the Chun Luo 7-star world. Sumo said, there are peacocks there, and I'm afraid there is more than one. Thank you, Demon King, for the reminder. The youth in black said, do you know Muhongshan? Sumo asked, is there such a person in the Hanya demon race? Muhongshan? The youth in black thought for a while, then shook his head, I don't know. However, I have left the Hanya world for too long. Perhaps everything has changed. Who is she? The current Muhongshan is the sect leader of the Chun Luo Yu sect. I suspect that she is related to the Hanya world demon race, and even the peacock race. If you meet her one day, please don't kill her. She is useful to me. Demon King, don't worry. Also, have you seen a plum blossom staff? Sumo suddenly thought of this. In the Moon Palace, the demons set up the desolate word lantern array, and one of them held a plum blossom staff imitation. Plum blossom staff. The black-clothed youth was stunned. Xiao Huang's divine weapon was a staff. Oh, Sumo frowned. Because in the galaxy world, Wu did not pass her staff to Xiao Huang. How did Xiao Huang get that plum blossom magic staff? That staff seems to have a special meaning to Xiao Huang. Because when I saw him, all the magic treasures on his body exploded. Only that staff is left. The black-clothed youth said. Did he say anything? Sumo asked. No. The black-clothed youth shook his head. He only told me to take good care of the staff. He didn't say anything else. What about the staff? Originally, that staff had always been with me. But then Bloodbath found me. After that, I slept for another 200,000 years. I was worried that the staff had exposed my whereabouts, so I gave it to Chi Mei. However, the staff had disappeared. Because its level was not high, I did not pay much attention to it. Sumo frowned. He did not ask again, because he knew that the staff was now in Wang Shui's hands. During this period, how it circulated was not important. The Plum Blossom magic staff should be in Wu Er's hands. But in the end, it actually appeared in Xiao Huang's hands. Something must have happened during this period, but the black-clothed youth did not know. Yes. Finally, Sumo nodded. Many things could perhaps be found in Xiao Huang's remnant memories. The red flower dissipated, and the demonic boat swayed gently. Dust is no longer dust. Huang is no longer Huang. Sumo sighed in his heart, silently reciting Bai Qilan's words, slightly embarrassed. Then he waved his hand, keeping the yin-yang bell and the cosmos bag. To Sumo, there was no longer any meaning in staying in the Demon Moon world. Goodbye. Sumo turned around lightly. Desolate shadow of demons. If everything about Xiao Huang's death is as you said, then there is nothing between us. I will find the demon race in Yizong to settle the score. But if my Huang Er's death was caused by you, then, even if I have to search the entire Yizong, I will definitely make you beg for death. Huh. The black-clothed youth shook his head and laughed. Demon King, don't worry. But you have to be careful of the demon race. They will not let go of the reincarnators of the three realms. Don't worry. One day I will find them. After saying that, Sumo did not speak anymore. The demonic boat flashed and instantly disappeared. The black-clothed youth, the desolate shadow of demons, stood in the space, not leaving immediately. Then, he let out a long breath. Luckily, the Demon King of the Three Realms was still reasonable. Previously, he had already prepared for the worst. So, he first used the shadow technique to lock Chi Z, and then set up an 8 stars attack formation. He had seen the power of the ancient bell with his own eyes just now. Without the power of a venerable, it was impossible to defeat the Demon King of the Three Realms. So, the black-clothed youth had been very nervous. At this moment, the black-clothed youth turned around and grabbed 2 female cultivators from the palace of the Moon Imperial Planet. They were none other than Qing Yu and Qing Shuang from before. At this moment, the 2 female cultivators looked terrified, but they still showed their charm. Your Excellency, we will definitely serve you well in the future. From now on, we will leave the demon race. The 2 female cultivators' voices were soft, and their bodies were almost wrapped around the black-clothed youth. Hee hee. The black-clothed youth laughed coldly and eerily. You 2 snake demons tried to release the bloodbats to harm me. Later, You helped me spread the location of Firecloud Palace to make up for your mistakes. But now, you are already worthless. I am not Chi Mei. I don't need women like you. Your Excellency. No. Your Excellency, The two female cultivators' faces were pale, and they begged for mercy. However, the desolate shadow of demons did not give them a chance. Whoosh, he grabbed with his hand. The two extremely charming female cultivators were sucked dry and turned into two dried corpses. Then, they turned into black mist and dissipated into the void. At this moment, the black-clothed youth held the vitality pill that Sumo had given him in his hand and swallowed it. Creak! The black coffin under his feet suddenly opened. Then, the black-clothed youth's body gradually fell into the black coffin. He still needed some time to recuperate, and this might be the last time he had. Sumo's appearance could be said to have taken some of the pressure off him, because he knew that Sumo had killed Bai Qilin and revealed the identity of the Demon King. Then, the demon race would definitely pursue and kill Sumo. This was just the right opportunity for him. The black coffin gradually closed its lid, and then stopped in the shadow of the Moon Emperor. The 3,000 light cavalry suddenly dispersed and formed a sphere around the black coffin, guarding it. It seemed that the 3,000 Qilin army had been completely controlled by the desolate shadow of demons. At the same time, the remaining 7 stars changed positions again. They protected the Moon Emperor planet in the center. Between them, a new star formation was formed. All of this was prepared by the desolate shadow of demons. In an instant, the 7 stars emitted a brilliance and poured into the Moon Emperor planet. At this moment, if Sumo saw this, she would definitely laugh at herself, because the desolate shadow of demons did not care about the life and death of the Demon Moon world. He was using the power of the Demon Moon world to support himself. The Demon Moon was just a tool. Chapter 732. The demonic ark was silent in a vast galaxy. After leaving the demonic moon world, Sumo did not stop at the other lesser worlds. Instead, she headed straight for the Dead Souls North. The entire Dead Souls galaxy was still empty and silent. For a very long time, not a single star was seen. At this moment, Sumo sat cross-legged on the demonic Arkansas. She had transformed into Sumo. In front of her was Xiao Huang's memory ball. Beside her was Yi Wuhui. Yi Wuhui held the little white pig in his arms. Beside him was the listless black feathered deity. The galaxy was lonely. Sumo would usually let them out. Firstly, they could get some fresh air. Secondly, the demonic ark would not be as lonely as before. Humph humph. The little white pig looked at the memory ball. Originally, it wanted to fiddle with the colorful crystal ball-like thing. However, when it looked at Sumo, it gave up on that idea, because it realized that its master's expression was solemn and sad. That kind of situation was definitely not common. Humph humph. So, the little white pig lowered its head and curled up in Yi Wuhui's arms. It looked pitifully at Sumo. It did not understand what was happening. Yi Wuhui was gently stroking the little white pig's head. He sat quietly at the side. At this moment, Sumo raised her hand slightly and pressed on the memory ball. Whoosh! In an instant, the memory flowed. The colorful light instantly spread. Immortal planet, ancient village, plum tree. A man and a woman stood under the plum tree. The male cultivator was dressed in white. He was devilishly handsome. The female cultivator had a plum blossom in her eyes. She was elegant and refined. They snuggled under the plum tree. They had smiles on their faces. They were naturally Xiao Luo and Wu Er. In the distance, there was a 7-year-old boy. He had red lips and white teeth. He was bouncing around. He was playing beside a small river. His hands were full of mud. He was having a lot of fun. Dad! Mom! The boy's voice was childish and crisp. Then, he seemed to realize something. Look! Who? When he looked again, he waved his little hands. Mud specks filled the sky and scattered into the sky. Black specks of light shone. Then, he formed a seal with both hands. Although the little boy's face was childish, the way he formed the seals was very elegant. After all, his parents were top-notch existences in this galaxy. Poof! Bang! Under his spell technique, the specks of mud that filled the sky transformed into countless faint red plum blossoms, and a fragrant aroma wafted through the air. "Mother, my plum blossom immortal art succeeded," the little boy shouted proudly. Plum Blossom 5 nodded with a smile. "My Huanger is the best." Xiao Luo also lightly nodded in agreement. Ha ha ha! The little boy was naturally happy to be praised by his parents and laughed proudly. In his eyes, the plum blossoms that filled the sky were extremely beautiful. Sumo's eyes became slightly moist as she watched this scene. He remembered that day. That was the first time Xiao Huang learned the plum blossom immortal art. In fact, it was only a minor spell of the wood race. Wu Er had only done it to enlighten her son and amuse him. But many years later, Xiao Luo once asked, "Huang, what is your favorite spell?" He said, "Plum blossom art." "Why?" "Because that was the first immortal spell I learned, and that spell was only for beauty, not killing." Hearing those words, Xiao Luo smiled helplessly. Xiao Huang was extremely talented, but Xiao Huang did not like killing spells. He remembered those spells, but he would not use them easily. He loved every blade of grass and tree of the immortal world, loved every inch of the galaxy. His personality, perhaps from his mother, was gentle but stubborn. Even though he had both demon and Yao bloodlines, and his talent was unparalleled, he was only obsessed with the wonders of spells and the beauty of nature. As for Xiao Huang, Xiao Luo and Wu Er did not deliberately teach him how to increase his cultivation level, but let nature take its course. Even so, Xiao Huang's cultivation level progressed rapidly. His cultivation speed far surpassed that of Wu Er and Xiao Luo. Moreover, in the galaxy, Xiao Huang came into contact with the top existences of that world. He traveled everywhere, visiting old friends of the three realms. He even went to the dreamlike planet. Even Xiao Luo, Qing Mozi, and the others could not even think of taking half a step on the dreamlike planet. Yin San disappeared. However, Xiao Luo later asked Xiao Huang if he saw Yin San. "How is Yin San now?" Xiao Huang smiled and said nothing. He only said that Yin San's aunt asked how his parents were doing. He kept his mouth shut about the dreamlike planet. Xiao Huang was considered a darling of the galaxy. The people he wanted to see, but never had the opportunity to, were Amu and Shunyan. But he was never arrogant. He was low-key, humble, and polite. Many cultivators of the galaxy did not even know that the sunny young man was the son of the Demon King. Xiao Luo once said, "Huang Er's temperament is not like mine at all, and there is no shadow of Murong or the Dark Lord." Wu Er smiled and said, "The galaxy today is no longer the three realms. How can my Huang be a demon like you?" He wanted to help the needy and make the galaxy more brilliant. Xiao Luo smiled and nodded. In fact, Wu Er's expectations were not wrong, but the galaxy did not have eternal life. There was a flash of brilliance on the five-color ball of light. What followed was another memory of Xiao Huang. That year, the galaxy was strange, and the demonic flowers were reborn. All kinds of rumors, true and false, spread. No one knew what happened in the galaxy, because the galaxy had been peaceful for too long. They did not doubt the eternal life left behind by the God of creation. The galaxy's destruction was something they had never thought of at the last moment. Therefore, Xiao Huang decided to investigate. He had perfected the 9th tier of the original immortal realm. Even though he was a genius, he had been stuck for tens of thousands of years in the face of eternal life. After all, the galaxy was peaceful, and he did not have the great opportunities that Mu and Xiao Luo had. "Huang be careful," Xiao Luo said. "The demonic flowers are not ordinary. I heard that several stars have already fallen." "Father, don't worry. I will return safely." Xiao Huang was full of heroic spirit. He was not as beautiful as Xiao Luo, but he had the looks and temperament of his parents. There are still the supremacies in the galaxy. Plum Blossom 5 said, "If there is any difficulty, do not force yourself. If the sky falls, the supremacies and your father will hold it up. Understand? Just go and take a look." Xiao Huang smiled. Mother, don't worry. Therefore, that day, Xiao Huang left the immortal planet and the plum blossom hut. That was Sumo's last memory of Xiao Huang. Xiao Huang left, never to return. Then, the entire galaxy was destroyed. On the demonic arc, Sumo let out a long sigh. That day, if he had known that the galaxy would be destroyed, he would not have let Xiao Huang embark on this journey. After that day, Xiao Luo and Wu did not receive any news of Xiao Huang. Xiao Huang had a protective talisman on him, but it was unknown if it had lost its effect when the galaxy was destroyed or if he had not used it at all. Xiao Huang's matter had always been a mystery. On the demonic arc, other than the memories emitted by the five-color ball of light, there was almost no sound. Yi Wuhui, Little White Pig, and Black Feather Deity watched quietly. They knew that Sumo did not want any disturbances at this time. Whoosh! The five-color ball of light suddenly dimmed. Sumo could not help but frown, because it was not that this memory of Xiao Huang did not exist, but that it was originally a memory that had fallen into darkness. But what was this memory about? There was actually not a trace of light. But in that memory, there was an extremely strange sound. It seemed to be the sound of the waves, but also the rumbling of the earth. It seemed like the sound of the waves, but also the rumbling of the earth. Xiao Huang, on the other hand, had left behind this memory in his nightmare state. That dark memory, it was unknown how long it had been, because such a memory fragment could not measure time. Hua! Then, the darkness abruptly collapsed. Immediately, in Xiao Huang's memory, a peacock-like mountain appeared. Divine Peacock Mountain. Prajna World? Sumo and Yi Wuhui were slightly stunned. Chapter 733. The peacock spread its tail, a rainbow of colors. That mountain was just like that. From afar, it looked like a peacock spreading its tail, standing proudly, its colors blurring. Its main peak was like the long neck of a peacock. Divine Peacock Mountain. The four ancient characters flickered in and out of existence, looking rather mystical. Prajna Realm? Sumo and Yi Wuhui were slightly taken aback. Was this Xiao Huang's memory after reincarnation? Then, was the darkness just now Xiao Huang's reincarnated memory? However, Sumo did not understand. Xiao Huang, who had not reached the eternal realm, how did he reincarnate to Yizong? Either an external force helped him reincarnate, or he himself ascended to the eternal realm. However, those memories were not preserved. Was Divine Peacock Mountain Xiao Huang's reincarnation? It seemed that Xiao Luo had reincarnated into a Yizong demon. Indeed, in Xiao Huang's memory, he was a tree demon, a plum blossom. Seeing this, Sumo could not help but smile helplessly. Indeed, he was more like his mother. The wood race, in the entire Yizong world, was a relatively low-level demon. Therefore, after Xiao Huang reincarnated into a plum blossom tree demon, he had been living a very ordinary life. He did not seem to have any friends, nor did he have any relatives. Outside Divine Peacock Mountain, he was just a lonely plum tree. That kind of life passed for an unknown period of time. Sumo frowned as she watched, because from those memories, Xiao Huang had not awakened. He did not know his past life at all. He had no memory of the Xing River world. Day after day, year after year, at the foot of Divine Peacock Mountain, he laboriously cultivated, carefully passing his days. Because if he encountered a powerful demon, he would very likely devour it. Gradually, Xiao Huang could finally transform into human form and move freely. At this time, in his memory, a peacock suddenly appeared. That day, spring was just right. Xiao Huang's cultivation level had finally increased. However, he still used his plum blossom body to absorb the wisps of spiritual energy emitted by Divine Peacock Mountain. In truth, that kind of spiritual energy was extremely weak. But to Xiao Huang, it was extremely precious. Over the years, he had relied on the spiritual energy emitted by Divine Peacock Mountain to cultivate his human form. Therefore, most of the time, in order to obtain more spiritual energy, he had to transform into a plum blossom. Wonderful! Whoa! At this moment, a peacock flew out from the mountains. It was a blue peacock. Then it landed under the plum blossom tree and turned into a little girl. The little girl was only 11 or 12 years old, but her face was extremely exquisite. Especially with his blue hair, he looked more like an elf. Oomph. That little girl directly sat under the plum blossom tree, feeling indignant as she muttered to herself, "Father, you're talking about me again. What's wrong with her? And big sister, you're just pretending. Oomph. She's just jealous that I'm prettier than her." The little girl said angrily, "Yes, and I'm smarter than her. My cultivation speed is faster than hers. I formed my gold core at 300 years old, but back then, she was still at Foundation Establishment at 700 years old." Hee. As she spoke, the little girl became happy. It seemed that she had so many advantages and was so much better than her sister. What was there to be angry about? He. The little girl was happy. Then, she leaned against the plum blossom tree and stared blankly. After a while, she took out a hairpin from her pocket. It was a jade hairpin, sparkling and translucent, with a string of 5-colored pearls. If only Mother was still alive. The little girl bent her legs, hugged them, and put her head on her knees. She looked at the jade hairpin with a sad expression. "Mother, Father doesn't like me, and big sister also hates me," the little girl muttered. "Although I cultivate with all my might, they're not satisfied." Speaking up to this point, the little girl's tears flowed down. Then, she spoke and cried at the same time, feeling very sad. Usually, no one would listen to her worries, but now, she told all her grievances to the jade hairpin. However, she didn't know that the plum blossom tree also heard her heart. Gradually, the little girl actually fell asleep. She didn't know how long she slept, but she had a good dream. She dreamed of her mother, dreamed of the past. Her heart was warm, and so was her body. When she woke up, she slowly opened her eyes. She was first shocked, then immediately became happy. It turned out that her body was covered with a layer of plum blossom petals that emitted a faint fragrance. The little girl was extremely happy. She hadn't been this happy since her mother passed away. The growth of demons was different from humans. Although this little girl was hundreds of years old, she was still a child. "Thank you. Give me warmth." The little girl smiled, then gave the plum blossom tree a big hug. It was getting late. Then her figure moved, and she flew back to divine Peacock Mountain. Xiao Huang knew that it was a noble peacock. The Peacock clan was an extremely noble existence in the world of the spirit race. Because they were royalty, Xiao Huang felt very lucky. Not only did he meet a peacock, but he was also given the warmth of life. However, all of this was only the beginning. Xiao Huang didn't take this matter to heart, because he needed to cultivate. In this world of demons, not cultivating was equivalent to waiting for death. So, Xiao Huang quickly forgot about the peacock girl, until one day, the little girl came again. This time, it was almost the same as the previous time. The little girl still came angrily, and then said many things on her mind. She took out the jade hairpin, cried, and leaned against the plum blossom tree to sleep for a while. When she woke up, her body was still covered in plum blossom petals. Xiao Huang had always been kind. "Thank you." The little girl happily left again. Xiao Huang was also very happy. Helping others was always a happy thing. From then on, the little girl would come every once in a while. The first few times, it was the same as before. She was often unhappy and used this as a place to talk. At first, she would always take out the jade hairpin, as if talking to her mother. Later, she would lean against the plum blossom tree and talk to herself. Time flew like an arrow, and time flew. Sumo and Yi Wuhui could not judge time in Xiao Huang's memory, but the memory of this peacock was extremely clear, and there was no interruption. This peacock must be the most important person to Xiao Huang after his reincarnation. Gradually, the little girl became a slender and elegant young woman. She was tall and slender, beautiful beyond compare. He had a head of blue hair and looked very noble. Her cultivation level increased by leaps and bounds. However, the days she cried became fewer and fewer. because she became stronger and rarely cried. But the only thing that did not change was her dependence on this plum blossom tree, because her pain, her tears, her joy, her sorrow, all remained in the years with this plum blossom tree. Chapter 734. Time would not only shatter memories, but it would also solidify love. It was unknown how many years had passed under the plum blossom tree. Wind and rain came and went, the cycle of the 4 seasons. Sitting under the plum tree had already become the blue-haired lady's habit, and waiting for the blue-haired lady's arrival had also become a part of Xiao Huang's life. For thousands of years, they relied on each other. However, Xiao Huang had never transformed into his real body. In this sense, the blue-haired lady had never seen him before. There seemed to be an inexplicable tacit understanding between them. Later on, Xiao Huang found out that she was the princess of the peacock race. Under the plum tree, the beauty had blue hair, a young woman with a peerless appearance. That day, she leaned against the plum tree, as usual. She was already at the first rebirth realm. There was a jar of wine in front of her. In her hand, there was a gourd. White jade holy calabash. At that moment, Sumo raised her eyebrows. Sumo, is that by Yuer's gourd? Yi Wuhui asked. And Sumo nodded. However, that gourd doesn't belong to Bai Yuer. That was something that belonged to the 3 realms Buddhist supremes. Its true master is Lu Hun and Yun San. But why was the white jade holy gourd in the hands of a female cultivator from the Peacock clan? The Milky Way shattered and the clouds dispersed. It must be the cycle of reincarnation. However, Sumo had never heard any news about her. However, Sanghai said that Green Soul followed him into the mortal realm. The Green Soul was naturally Yun San. Was this white jade holy gourd deliberately left behind by Yun San? Looking again, the blue-haired girl raised the gourd and actually took a sip. The blue-haired woman laughed. Master said that she wouldn't easily pass this gourd to others. She's only willing to give it to me because she's about to leave. Master? The clouds dispersed. Sumo frowned as she watched on. You say, Master's really strange. He taught me magic, but he was never willing to show his true form. In these 7,000 years, I've only heard her voice and her apparition. Unfortunately, I've never seen her face. However, I believe that her cultivation base must be extremely high, comparable to a venerable one. Otherwise, my father will definitely discover her. After all, he's a venerable one. Sai, other than you, I'm closest to Master. Unfortunately, he accompanied me through the 5th decay. She left. She even told me to take care of myself. The blue-haired woman smiled. I understand. Master is afraid that I will do something that goes against common sense after my cultivation reaches large success. But you know, the blue-haired woman took a sip of wine. Although I now know that my mother died because of my father, I don't want to kill him. After all, he is my father. The blue-haired girl forced a smile and drank another mouthful of wine. Even if I become a venerable one day, I won't kill my father. Then, she opened the clay seal on the jar of wine in front of her. In an instant, the fragrance of the wine permeated the air, and spiritual energy assailed the nostrils. The lady in blue patted the plum tree. Now, this plum tree already towered into the heavens, its branches luxuriant with leaves, extremely magnificent and beautiful. At the foot of Peacock Mountain, this tree was the most luxuriant and incomparable. Come, have a few drinks with me. The blue-robed woman waved her hand, and the wine jar immediately poured out the immortal wine. Under the plum tree, the fragrance of wine was intoxicating, and the beauty was as beautiful as jade. The plum tree was filled with flower petals. The wine fell on the flower petals, instantly disappearing. Humph! The blue-robed woman saw this, and couldn't help but pout. You drink too fast. Come, drink slowly. I stole this wine from the Peacock Palace and specially prepared it for you. You have to taste it slowly. If you drink too much, you will get drunk easily. Be good. With that, the wine jar was lifted again, and another bowl was poured out. This time, the wine floated on the plum flower petals, condensed and did not disperse. The blue-robed woman was happy and raised the gourd. "Come, I salute you." Hee hee. She raised the gourd and drank in a very heroic manner. At this moment, she threw all her worries to the back of her mind, and the wine on the plum flower petals was really only sipped a small mouthful. The blue-robed woman looked at the wine, and then looked at the towering plum tree, her laughter like silver bells. "I knew that you treat me the best." Laughing and laughing, the blue-robed woman cried again. "Master has left. In this world, only you are left to accompany me. You, in the future, do not leave me. In this Peacock Mountain, no one dares to do anything to you. If anyone dares to touch you, I will kill him. I want you to reach the sky, to shelter me from the wind and rain." "Okay." The blue-robed woman laughed and cried. Whoosh! The wind suddenly rose, blowing countless plum flower petals. Those plum flowers surrounded the blue-robed woman. Many petals fell on her face, wiping away her tears. That moment was the most beautiful time, the most beautiful memory. "Let's drink." The blue-robed woman laughed. "Hee hee. I know you will not leave me. The white jade celestial gourd, endless immortal wine." Xiao Huang did not know how much wine the blue-robed woman drank. In any case, he accompanied her, drinking the entire jar of wine. From early morning until dusk, those immortal wines had spiritual energy. They could help Xiao Huang cultivate, and were far better than ordinary immortal pills. Xiao Huang understood. These years, this peacock princess had been helping him cultivate. Finally, the blue-robed woman was completely drunk. Her face was crimson, as beautiful as a flower, directly lying under the plum tree. This was already not the first time she slept under the plum tree. A delicate fragrance, blissful and warm. For many tens of thousands of years, this was the only place she could sleep peacefully. This place was different from the Peacock Mountain. Here, there was no scheming, no deceit. To the unfortunate peacock princess, this was a pure land. "Hee hee. Good wine, drink." "Master, don't go." In her dreams, the blue-robed woman was sleep-talking. "Plum darling, hug me tightly." Xiao Huang smiled faintly in his heart. Actually, this was not the first time she called him plum darling, but only when she was drunk would she say it. "Hee hee, silly princess." Xiao Huang laughed in his heart. "How can you be sure that I am a male cultivator? If, one day, I turn into a female, what will you do?" Jokes aside, after the blue-robed woman said, "Hug me tightly," the plum tree was already covered with branches and leaves. He would shelter her from the wind and rain. Even if Peacock Princess, a rebirth realm expert, did not need it. But he was willing to shelter her. She was also willing to lie in his arms, smelling the plum blossom scent. The night of the Peacock Mountain was blurry. That was the most beautiful night in Xiao Huang's memory. Even after he awakened, in all his memories, that night was also the most beautiful, irreplaceable. The plum blossom house could not compare to the foot of the Peacock Mountain, because his first and last love were all left there. The second day, the sky was bright. A plum blossom gently caressed the blue-robed woman's face and nose. "Oh," the blue-robed woman frowned, then whimpered, "Annoying. I'm awake." Saying so, she suddenly opened her eyes, opened her red lips, and bit that plum blossom. "Huh, see, you're still teasing me. How is it? I bit you." She turned over, her cheeks slightly red, and smiled mischievously. Only under the plum tree was she a happy woman. Xiao Huang smiled in his heart, not taking it to heart. Then, the plum blossom branches scattered. The blue-haired woman looked up at the sky, then stretched. After a good sleep, it is indeed late. The weather is so good. But at this moment, a voice came. "Second princess, the Spirit King has an urgent matter. He wants you to come to the palace. Please come back quickly." Humph. The blue-haired woman's expression turned cold. What matter can it be to find the second princess? Isn't the first princess arrogant? The plum blossom branches caressed her, as if comforting her. Then I will leave first. I will come back another day." Saying so, the blue-haired woman smiled and gave the plum tree a big hug. "Don't be lazy, you must grow up." Huh. Whoosh, the blue-haired woman moved and instantly disappeared. On the magic boat, Sumo let out a long sigh, while Yiwuhue was about to cry. Chapter 735. Sighs and tears represented two different understandings. In Xiao Huang's memory, what Sumo saw was pain, because she knew that there must be a tragedy between Xiao Huang and the Peacock Princess, while what Yiwuhue saw was emotion, because she felt that Xiao Huang and the Peacock Princess had loved each other so much. Why bother asking about the ending? Oomph. The little white pig's eyes were full of confusion, because it did not understand. What on earth was inside that five-color ball of light that was in a mess? Black feather deity Hong, on the other hand, was dismissive of all this. He seemed to always be an expert in the mountains, unconcerned with all worldly affairs. The five-color memory was still spreading. On this day, the divine Peacock Mountain seemed a little gloomy. It had been 3 months, and the Peacock Princess had not appeared. If Xiao Huang remembered correctly, this was the longest gap since they got to know each other. Even during the days when the Peacock Princess was in her 5th decline, there was not such a long gap. 9 days. That was the longest period of time before. Moreover, that kind of situation could be counted on one's fingers in tens of thousands of years. This time it was 3 months. In these 3 months, Xiao Huang felt like a year. It was simply a kind of torture. He felt that he had been restless and even neglected his cultivation. Middle Sea Destruction Realm. That was Xiao Huang's current realm. In this world, Xiao Huang was just a tree demon, an ordinary tree demon. If he had not grown up under the divine Peacock Mountain and had the help of the Peacock Princess, he most likely would not have reached this realm. At this time, Xiao Huang had not awakened. He did not know who he was. Now, the realm of him and the Peacock Princess could not be mentioned in the same breath. One was underground, one was in the sky. This was also one of the reasons why Xiao Huang refused to show up. What happened to her? Xiao Huang remembered that day when the Peacock Princess was summoned by her father. Could it be that something had happened to the Peacock Imperial Court? Thinking of what the Peacock Princess had said about the subtle relationship between her, her father, and her sister, Xiao Huang suddenly had an ominous premonition. Xiao Huang was under the divine Peacock Mountain. He really wanted to go and find out. However, he also understood that with his realm and cultivation, as long as he stepped into the divine Peacock Mountain, he would not be able to move an inch, and his life would most likely be in danger. That would instead become trouble for the Peacock Princess. Whoosh, roar. At this moment, the cry of a peacock came from Peacock Mountain. That was not the cry of any other peacock. It was the Peacock Princess. Every time such a cry came, she would appear. It was like a signal. Who originally, Xiao Luo had been sitting cross-legged on the ground, somewhat dispirited. However, this voice must have energized him. Then, he instantly turned into a towering plum tree. It had been like this all these years. A moment later, a blue peacock flew out from the divine mountain and landed under the plum tree, turning into a blue-haired woman. That was naturally the Peacock Princess. Xiao Huang was overjoyed and could not help but gently shake the plum branch. However, when he looked at the blue-haired lady again, he saw a worried expression on her face. Xiao Huang had not seen such a state in a long time. The blue-haired woman's mood was extremely low. She quietly sat under the plum tree, hugging her knees, just like the first time she came here. Xiao Huang was a little flustered. He did not know what had happened, but he felt that the Peacock Princess had lost a lot of weight. It won't be long before I have to leave divine Peacock Mountain. The blue-haired woman muttered to herself, but her voice was very soft. Xiao Huang was the same as before. He only listened quietly and did not say much. He knew that the Peacock Princess would immediately ask why. Because father has arranged a marriage for me. The blue-haired woman bit her lower lip and said, "Marriage?" This was something that Xiao Huang had never thought of. Father wants to betroth me to the Qilin clan's 3rd prince. The blue-haired woman said, "In the Hanya realm, Although the three great spirit kings are known together, the Kuan butterfly is publicly recognized as number one. Whether it is the peacock spirit king or the Chilean spirit king, their realm is not as high as the Kuan butterfly spirit king. The Kuan butterfly clan is also known as the ancestor of all spirits. The current Kuan butterfly spirit king is known as the existence closest to a lotus scholar in the Hanya realm. Therefore, the Peacock and Chilean clans want to join forces to keep the Kuan butterfly clan in check and have more say in the Hanya realm. Marriage is the best way. Hee hee. The blue-haired woman sneered, then changed her posture and leaned against the plum tree. Marriage? Marry the Chilean third prince? Xiao Huang's heart could not help but ache. But why not the Peacock clan's first princess? Hee hee. My sister will definitely not go. The blue-haired woman used her hand to gently stroke the plum tree. It had been like this all these years. The plum tree did not need to speak, and she seemed to know what she was thinking. Father will also not let sister go, because in the entire Peacock clan's younger generation, sister's realm is number one. More importantly, sister is decisive in killing, holds great power, and has the final say in the Peacock clan. Everyone says that sister is the chief housekeeper of the Peacock clan. Therefore, with sister's personality, why would she fancy a Chilean prince? Her goal is most likely the Peacock king's throne. And me, hee hee. The blue-haired woman sneered. My identity is noble enough. Most importantly, I am an existence that can be sacrificed, an abandoned chess piece. In their eyes, facilitating the marriage between the Peacock and Chilean is my greatest value. Moreover, these years I have been desperately cultivating. Although I still cannot catch up to sister's realm, it is only a matter of time. This is already a threat to her. Mother's death has always been a taboo matter for father. When we were young, he might not have feared me. After all, I'm also his flesh and blood. But as I grew up, especially with the increase of my realm, I make him feel uneasy. Although he never says anything and treats me well, I can feel that he is on guard against me. My fifth decay realm, if not for Master's secret protection, I might have been assassinated. Because Master once reminded me to endure and keep a low profile and not to show dissatisfaction towards father and sister. Otherwise, I will be killed. The one who wants to kill me is either father or sister. In theory, in this world, there are two people that I am closest to. That is simply a huge irony. Speaking to here, the blue-haired woman could not help but sneer. I said before, I will not kill my father, but they want to kill me. Xiao Huang has been quietly listening. There are some things that Peacock Princess told him for the first time. For example, when someone wanted to kill her in the fifth decay realm, she never said anything. These 3 months, I have been grounded, because I did not agree to the marriage. Hee hee. The blue-haired woman smiled bitterly, but my resistance is meaningless. Unless I die. The entire plum tree could not help but slightly tremble. Hee hee. The blue-haired woman gently looked at the plum tree and shook her head. But don't worry, I will not choose to die. I want to live and then revenge. Speaking to here, the blue-haired woman's eyes flashed with a ruthlessness that Xiao Huang had never seen before. Plum girl, I just can't bear to part with you. Please hold me tight. The blue-haired woman said this for the first time when she was sober. Then she hugged the plum tree, gently closing her eyes at the same time. Whoosh, covered by plum branches, it was the most affectionate hug. Chapter 736. Leaning against each other, their love was deep. For a while, the blue-haired girl did not speak. She had already agreed to the marriage. That was why she could temporarily leave divine Peacock Mountain. The Peacock Demon King and Princess Peacock were not worried that she would escape, because she did not have that kind of ability. First Rebirth Realm. With Princess Peacock's cultivation, if she had the thought of escaping, not to mention escaping the Wisdom Realm, she could not even leave the little peacock world. At this moment, she only wanted to lie quietly under the plum tree. Unknowingly, the blue-haired girl actually fell asleep. She had been suffering for the past 3 months. This moment of peace eased the anxiety and exhaustion in her heart. At this moment, there was only joy in her heart. From early morning until dusk, putting aside everything else, this seemed to be a very ordinary day that they had spent together for tens of thousands of years. However, this was also not an ordinary day. Unknowingly, the blue-haired girl had already woken up. However, she did not get up. However, it was getting late. She had to leave. "Mei Lang, hug me," the blue-haired girl said. "I will be leaving in a while." The plum branches tightened. "I don't want this." The blue-haired girl's cheeks were flushed red, but there was a smile at the corner of her mouth. She was afraid that she would not have another chance. So, she wanted to see Mei Lang. Xiao Huang was stunned. Immediately, a ray of profound light. The towering plum tree disappeared, and the blue-haired girl was already nestled in the arms of an elegant young master. However, at this moment, the blue-haired girl did not raise her head, but only hugged Xiao Huang even tighter. She seemed to be afraid that if she let go, he would be gone. "Say something to me." The blue-haired girl was slightly shy. Xiao Huang was a bit hesitant. "You what?" the blue-haired girl asked. Xiao Huang tightened his arms, then said softly, "I am willing to shelter you from the wind and rain." Hee. Good. The blue-haired girl laughed like a silver bell. Then she pressed her cheek tightly against Xiao Huang's chest. "Mei Lang, your body is so warm. The plum blossom fragrance is even more intoxicating." Xiao Huang laughed, but did not speak. Will you come again?" After a while, Xiao Huang asked. The blue-haired girl was silent. She did not speak. Xiao Huang did not ask any further. They were all silent, savoring what might be their last moments. Ding! Hum! At this time, the sound of the twilight bell came from the Peacock Divine Mountain. Peacock Princess understood that this was the bell urging her to go back. Otherwise, there would be no bell sounds on normal days. "It's time," the blue-haired woman said faintly. Xiao Huang replied. However, neither of them moved. At that moment, it was as if even one more minute or one more second would be good enough. No one wanted to let go. Ding! Hum! A moment later, the second bell rang. The two of them still did not move. The blue-haired lady hugged Xiao Huang even tighter, and Xiao Huang gently stroked her blue hair. Ding! Ding! Hum! When the third bell rang, it sounded very urgent. The lady in blue reluctantly let go of Xiao Huang this time. She raised her head and held Xiao Huang's face with both hands. Her eyes were filled with affection, and she smiled sweetly. "Mei Lang, so you and I are exactly the same. Is that so?" Xiao Huang smiled. "It's good that I didn't scare you." "Why would I?" the lady in blue said. "My Mei Lang is the most beautiful man in the world." Kakik. At this point, the lady in blue could not help but laugh happily. After so many tens of thousands of years, this was the first time she saw Xiao Huang. However, they were not strangers at all, and instead felt close to each other. Time, thousands of years. But, to them, it was like an instant. Their hearts had long been together. Second princess, please quickly return to the mountain. A voice came from the Peacock Divine Mountain. Hearing this, the lady in blue could not help but frown, but immediately smiled sweetly at Xiao Huang. Then, she raised her head and gently kissed Xiao Huang's lips. At that moment, Xiao Huang only smelled a delicate fragrance and could not help but tightly embrace the Peacock Princess. He did not want her to go, not to mention anything else. The blue-haired lady also hugged Xiao Huang. Her tongue moved, and the threads of love intertwined. The beauty of that moment was only for a moment, but it would be remembered for thousands of years. A tear on the blue-haired lady's long eyelashes fell on Xiao Huang's cheek. "Mei Lang, I love you. In 3 days, I will come again. Wait for me." After saying this, the blue-haired lady's body suddenly retreated. Her cheeks were crimson, and she looked delicate and beautiful. Then, she directly turned into a blue peacock and went straight to the Peacock Divine Mountain. Xiao Huang sat on the Peacock Divine Mountain in a daze, feeling lost. The lingering warmth was still there, But where was the beautiful figure? This was the first time since Xiao Huang returned to this world that he was so sad. That feeling was indescribable, unclear, and there was no one he could talk to. In 3 days, would she come again? He did not know what the Peacock Princess would do, but he knew that he was powerless. For the first time, Xiao Huang realized the cruelty of the world and the importance of one's cultivation level. He looked at the 5-colored peacock divine mountain, and for the first time, he felt that it was so disgusting. At the same time, he felt that deep in his Dan sea, there was an undercurrent surging. Advancement. The advancement this time actually came so suddenly. This was something Xiao Huang did not expect. Because, according to his cultivation speed, he was still some time away from the late sea annihilation realm. At least thousands of years, at most tens of thousands of years. But now, he was actually about to advance. An inexplicable power surged in his body and even in his mind. There seemed to be some kind of guidance in the dark. That was a situation that Xiao Huang had never encountered before. So, he formed a seal with his hands and sat cross-legged. Just in case, he set up a plum blossom realm within a radius of 100 jong. And at this time, at the foot of the Peacock Mountain, there was actually a female cultivator in black. That female cultivator was also tall and had a head of blue hair. Not only was she blue, but she also had a pair of blue eyes. Her skin was white, her appearance was beautiful, and her figure was graceful. Compared to the Peacock Princess, this female cultivator in black had a more mature charm, and also more mysterious and cold. The most special thing was that she was holding a black cat in her arms. That black cat was completely black, and its fur was shiny. At that moment, it seemed to be asleep, and its eyes were closed. The female cultivator in black with blue hair gently stroked the cat's body. Nine-tailed raccoon. At that moment, Sumo and Yi Wuhui's expressions changed. Nine-tailed raccoon was indeed a cat slave of the Peacock clan. The female cultivator in black had a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. In fact, she had been standing here for a long time. Previously, she had seen everything between the Peacock Princess and Xiao Huang. Good sister, is this what you were worried about? Hee hee. The female cultivator in black looked at Xiao Huang and could not help but smile faintly. A Lowlywood clan wants to climb up to our Peacock Royal clan. What's more, you are just an intermediate sea destruction realm cultivator. Good sister, if you don't make a decision, you will only suffer. Seeing that you are in so much pain, let sister help you this time. The female cultivator in black with blue hair had been smiling. If it was the first time that someone saw this female cultivator, they would definitely think that she was extremely kind and treated her sister extremely well. However, she was the Peacock clan's eldest princess who killed without batting an eye. In the Peacock clan, she was below one and above all. Can't go. Eat that plum blossom fairy. Come back when you are full. The female cultivator in blue smiled and sent the black cat in her arms, then turned around and returned to the divine Peacock Mountain. Looking again, Nine-tailed raccoon suddenly opened its eyes. In an instant, its eyes turned red and it pounced toward Xiao Huang. Chapter 737. In this world, no one could say for sure. When they waved, it would be farewell forever, and when they took care, it would be eternal. Xiao Huang and the Peacock Princess would never have thought that their first real meeting would be an eternal farewell. Whoosh, Nine-tailed raccoon, like a bolt of lightning, landed outside the plum blossom boundary. Meow, oh, Nine-tailed raccoon, one claw forward, half squatting, its hind limbs gathering power. Seeing this, Sumo and Yi Wuhui frowned. Although Cat Slave was a one-life, immortal realm absolute stage, killing Xiao Huang should be a piece of cake. This was probably the reason why Princess Peacock could leave without worry. Killing a sea destruction level tree demon to Nine-tailed raccoon was like killing a mouse. Boom! Nine-tailed raccoon leaped, smashing the plum blossom boundary. That sea destruction level was useless in front of it. In a split second, plum petals flew everywhere, dust flew everywhere. Xiao Huang, who was about to meditate, suddenly opened his eyes. This turn of events was absolutely out of his expectations, because in the tens of thousands of years under Peacock Mountain, nothing had happened here. Ever since Princess Peacock often came here, Xiao Huang had never encountered any attacks. Whoosh! Xiao Huang's reaction was fast. He jumped up, and at the same time, waved one hand. A ray of green light went straight for Nine-Tailed Raccoon. Meow. However, Xiao Huang's attack was not worth mentioning to Nine-Tailed Raccoon. After all, there was at least a realm difference between them. They were not on the same level at all. Boom! Nine-Tailed Raccoon lightly waved its front paw. The ray of green light was immediately dispersed. At the same time, Nine-Tailed Raccoon opened its mouth, and a red lightning struck Xiao Luo. Xiao Luo hurriedly flew away. However, his speed was not as fast as the lightning. Boom! Crack! Although he tried to dodge, the red lightning still hit his left calf. Puff! Green blood instantly splattered everywhere. At the same time, his entire left calf was a bloody mess. However, this did not slow down Xiao Huang's speed. At this moment, Xiao Huang understood that as long as he hesitated, he would die without a burial. At the same time, his injuries were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. That was the talent possessed by the Wood Tribe. As long as the roots of plants were not destroyed, they could live forever. Whoosh, whoosh! In the void, Xiao Huang turned into a plum forest with just a thought. There were more than 1,000 plum trees in that forest. The plum blossoms rippled, and a faint fragrance floated in the air. It was extremely beautiful. However, this was only Xiao Huang's method of escape. It was impossible for him to defeat that Nine-Tailed Raccoon. Xiao Huang was just an ordinary tree demon. In terms of status, he was not even as good as Nine-Tailed Raccoon. That black cat was the Peacock Princess pet. Whether it was in terms of cultivation or magic treasures, Xiao Huang could not compare. Therefore, at this moment, Xiao Huang's decision to escape was the wisest and best choice. Among the 1,000 plum trees, which one was Xiao Huang's real body? At the same time, those plum trees were actually constantly moving, shuttling back and forth like a great formation. In reality, this was indeed a plum forest's illusion formation. It could be said that this was the strongest formation Xiao Huang could set up now. However, he still underestimated the power of Nine-Tailed Raccoon. Battle was like this, because it was a comparison in itself. Nine-Tailed Raccoon may not be able to withstand a blow from a rebirth state, but against a sea destruction state, it was the king. Looking again, the black cat's eyes narrowed. That pair of blood-red eyes almost turned into a thin needle. The plum blossom illusion was useless in its eyes. At this moment, the position of the thousands of plum trees was crystal clear in its eyes. It did not move at all. Then it opened its mouth. Whoosh! Reddish-black flames spewed out. It expanded with the wind, instantly engulfing the entire plum forest. Just as Xiao Huang was about to escape, his path was sealed by the flames. At the same time, Nine-Tailed Raccoon's front paw slammed the ground. Boom! The power of a lifetime of immortality spread out. At the foot of Peacock Mountain, countless runes appeared. They spread out like a spider web. Seal! That was a sealing technique. Nine-Tailed Raccoon used its power to seal an area of hundreds of miles. It could be said that this technique directly blocked Xiao Huang's path. The flames raged, forming a prison. All of this could be described as an inescapable net. Xiao Huang had nowhere to escape. The air was filled with the fragrance of plum blossoms. However, there was also a trace of burnt smell. All the plum blossoms that Xiao Huang had turned into were instantly incinerated. And in the midst of all the ashes, Xiao Huang's human body appeared, standing alone. However, that elegant young man was already in a sorry state. His black robe was already in tatters. His handsome face was filled with the color of fire. One should know that the plum forest just now was his doppelganger. However, they were all incinerated by Nine-Tailed Raccoon. Although his real body was unharmed, his recovery speed could not keep up. There was no road to heaven and no door to hell. However, Xiao Huang's expression was calm. He looked coldly at Nine-Tailed Raccoon. Why do you want to kill me? Nine-tailed raccoon looked at Xiao Huang, then said in a hoarse voice, how can the foot of Peacock Mountain tolerate a little wood tribe demon? Princess Peacock, if I want you to die, you must die. If you die, many things will be resolved. Princess Peacock? At that moment, Xiao Huang's heart shook. Without asking, he understood. Currently, in the Peacock tribe, there were only 2 princesses above the rebirth state. Then, the one who wanted to kill him must be Princess Peacock. As for why she wanted to kill him, Xiao Huang naturally understood. If he died, the matter between second Princess Peacock and Qilin third prince would naturally have one less obstacle. Kiki. Xiao Huang heard and laughed coldly. We are of the same root. Why rush to kill each other? For the sake of power, Princess Peacock is really willing to do anything. Less nonsense. Today, you will not escape. Second Princess Peacock will not come to save you. Meow. Nine-tailed raccoon said no more and pounced directly at Xiao Huang. Its fangs were exposed, like a tiger or a leopard. Don't think that nine-tailed raccoon was really a cat in the arms of Princess Peacock, but it was definitely not a docile creature. Instead, it was extremely bloodthirsty and violent. The smell of blood suddenly rose. Xiao Huang moved his body to the left, but was still scratched by nine-tailed raccoon on the shoulder. In an instant, Xiao Huang's shoulder was suffused with black gas. Hiss! On the magic boat, Sumo and Yi Wuhui could not help but frown, because at the same time, they thought that there was no antidote for nine-tailed raccoon's poison. At this moment, Xiao Huang's expression changed. He did not understand nine-tailed raccoon, but he immediately felt his shoulder go numb. Poison! Meow! And just when he was stunned, nine-tailed raccoon tilted its head. Its fangs grew longer, like daggers, and directly bit towards Sumo's neck. Ah! On the magic boat, Yi Wuhui could not help but exclaim. Although she knew that what she saw was only Xiao Huang's memory, she could not help but be nervous. This time, it was enough to kill Xiao Huang. Xiao Huang no longer had the ability to dodge. However, at this critical moment, Yi Qingtang's expression changed. Boom! Crack! A ray of red light suddenly flew from the sky, directly striking nine-tailed raccoon. Chapter 738. The red light was like a knife, 100 feet long. That red light was extremely powerful, because it contained the power of reincarnation. At this moment, if nine-tailed raccoon insisted on pouncing toward Xiao Huang, it would definitely be cut in half. Therefore, nine-tailed raccoon suddenly turned into a black light in the void. In a flash, it had already appeared 100 feet away. However, that red light did not slow down at all. Whoosh! Crack! It actually directly chopped down on Xiao Huang's shoulder, cleanly chopping it off. This time, it was a clean cut. Impressive! Sumo could not help but praise when she saw this scene, because he knew the power of the cat poison the best. Not everyone was like him. Ordinary people would definitely be dreaming if they wanted to resist the cat poison. Therefore, that red light not only forced nine-tailed raccoon to retreat, it also stopped the cat poison at the fastest speed possible. Who is it? Nine-tailed raccoon looked up with a murderous gaze and spoke human language. At this moment, Xiao Huang also looked up. Looking again, there was a fluctuation of spiritual energy in the void, and a woman in a red dress appeared. Her appearance was stunning, but full of murderous intent. Mu Hongchun, Yi Wuhui exclaimed. Wu Er. Sumo was also stunned. Clang, black-feathered Shenhong, who had been lying on the side without saying a word, suddenly screeched. Then he stared blankly at the five-colored ball of light, because its owner was in there. Mu Hongchun looked at nine-tailed raccoon and sneered. Little cat demon, do you think the Wood Clan has no one? Wood Clan demon? Nine-tailed raccoon could not help but be shocked. The Wood Clan was a low-level demon in the wisdom world. Actually, it was rare to see a Wood Clan like Xiao Huang who had cultivated to the sea destruction realm. Could this female cultivator in red also be a Wood Clan demon? Nine-tailed raccoon had felt the power of reincarnation from that red light. Reincarnation level Wood Clan demon? Nine-tailed raccoon could hardly believe it. However, it was Great Princess Peacock's beloved pet. Normally, what it knew and saw was definitely not ordinary. Besides, this was the base of Peacock Mountain, so it naturally had something to rely on. Fellow Taoist, this is the world of divine Peacock Mountain. This plum blossom tree demon has violated the laws of my Peacock Imperial Court, so I am acting under orders. Fellow Taoist, please do not interfere. Nine-tailed raccoon was both soft and hard. In fact, he wasn't wrong. In the entire great wisdom world, even the Kuan butterfly clan wouldn't dare to make an enemy out of divine Peacock Mountain. It could be said that the words of the Peacock Imperial Court were the rules of the divine Peacock Mountain. Unfortunately, the red-robed female cultivator seemed to be fearless. This was because when a person was willing to disregard life and death, nothing else mattered. After hearing Nine-tailed Raccoon's words, Mu Hongchen's expression didn't change at all. If you leave now, I can spare your life. Mu Hongchen's tone was calm. Then, he pointed at Xiao Huang and said, "However, I want to bring him away. The plum blossom sprite cannot be trampled on." Hee. Nine-tailed Raccoon laughed coldly, with a slightly hoarse tone. "However, I don't want to leave. Fellow Taoist, if you leave, you can actually spare your life." Oh, the corner of Mu Hongchen's mouth rose, but she didn't say anything else. Whoosh! Looking again, Mu Hongchen's body suddenly glowed red. Then, she waved her hand. The red light rose again, turning into a long saber that slashed at Nine-tailed Raccoon. This move didn't seem to have any changes compared to the previous one. It was just that it was faster and more powerful. Hiss, meow. Nine-tailed Raccoon let out a hiss. It really didn't expect that the red-robed female cultivator would still dare to attack, even after everything had been explained clearly. Moreover, she didn't show any mercy at all. Nine-tailed Raccoon leaped up and turned into a ray of black light again. It wanted to use the same trick again. However, Mu Hongchen had already attacked. How could she let it leave? Just now, Mu Hongchen's saber was mostly to save Xiao Huang, but this one wasn't. "Seal!" Mu Hongchen yelled. Looking again, in the void, plum blossoms filled the sky. And among the plum blossoms, there was a little red sand. That Dao technique sealed Nine-tailed Raccoon's escape route. All of this was a replica of the battle between it and Xiao Huang just now. However, it had become the one that couldn't escape. Boom! Crack! In an instant, under the endless pressure, Nine-tailed Raccoon had nowhere to escape. The red light slashed down and directly cut it into two. Nine-tailed Raccoon's corpse fell at the foot of the mountain. A ray of black gas that seemed to be Nine-tailed Raccoon's soul directly dispersed. What a cunning black raccoon! Sumo looked at the scene and couldn't help but laugh coldly, because she knew that Nine-tailed Raccoon actually had 9 lives. That ray of red light couldn't kill it all. If it wanted to kill it, it could only cut off all 9 of its lives at the same time. Now, Nine-tailed Raccoon wasn't moving at all. It was clearly faking its death. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't even have the chance to escape back to Divine Peacock Mountain. Sumo had her own judgment, but Mu Hongchen didn't fully understand Nine-tailed Raccoon's talent. The scene in front of him directly stunned Xiao Huang. He didn't think that there would be a twist at the foot of Divine Peacock Mountain. He had never seen this female cultivator in red before, but from the conversation and technique just now, he could determine that she was also a plum blossom spirit. "Thank you for saving my life, senior." At this moment, Xiao Huang knelt on the ground and bowed to Mu Hongchen. At that moment, Mu Hongchen frowned slightly. "She didn't awaken?" Yi Wu Hui asked. "I can't tell." Sumo frowned. But even if she awakened, she might not be able to recognize Huang Er. After all, his appearance has changed. Or, she isn't me, so she can't sense whether the other party is a reincarnator or not. But this Mu Hongchen is very different from the Mu Hongchen of Yuqi's sect. What is going on? Sumo couldn't understand. "Get up." Looking at Xiao Huang, Mu Hongchen had an indescribable feeling in her heart. But she didn't know why. She couldn't help but feel a sense of loss in her heart. After all, she didn't even know who she was now. But this young cultivator gave her a sense of familiarity. Maybe it was because they were both plum blossom spirits. She could only explain it this way. Unfortunately, I broke your arm. It was severed by the reincarnation power. So, you can only regrow that arm when you reach the reincarnation state. It's all right, Senior. You did it to save me. Xiao Huang said. We can't stay here for long. If the real experts of the Peacock dynasty come, I'm afraid I won't be able to protect you. So we have to leave immediately. Xiao Huang was a little hesitant, because the Peacock Princess had promised him that she would come again in 3 days. I saw everything just now. Mu Hongshun sighed and said, but I don't think you can wait for that blue-haired girl. If the Peacock dynasty wanted you dead, it would be a piece of cake. Why would they let you stay for 3 days? Moreover, that blue-haired girl probably won't have the chance to leave the sacred Peacock Mountain anymore. It's meaningless for you to stay here. But Xiao Huang looked at Mu Hongshun and said softly, I have a promise with her. Hee. Mu Hongshun looked at Xiao Huang and smiled warmly. Silly child, aren't there many things that have been agreed upon in this world? Promises of undying love, vanishing into thin air. Promises in this life, looking forward to the next. However, how many of them could have their wishes fulfilled? Right now, it's not that you guys aren't willing. It's that the situation isn't right. You can only meet her again if you're alive. Otherwise, you won't live for more than 3 days. Do you understand? Understand. Xiao Huang sighed and nodded. He had a natural sense of trust towards Mu Hongshun. Moreover, Mu Hongshun was right. Whoosh, Xiao Huang's heart moved. Looking again, a plum tree had grown out of the place where he originally grew. However, it didn't reach the sky. That plum tree had Xiao Huang's divine sense. If the peacock came, it would naturally know everything. Mu Hongshun didn't stop him. Then, Mu Hongshun waved his hand and disappeared with Xiao Huang. After they left, that nine-tailed raccoon quickly recovered and turned into a ray of black light, heading straight for the sacred Peacock Mountain. Of course, that was not in Xiao Huang's memory. However, Sumo and Yi Wuhui, who were on the demonic arc, could predict it. Chapter 739. Nine-tailed raccoon headed straight for Divine Peacock Mountain. In the night, Divine Peacock Mountain was filled with 5 different colors. The black raccoon was like a bolt of black lightning, moving at an incredible speed. It headed straight for the second peak of Divine Peacock Mountain, Starfall. On Starfall Peak was Starfall Palace. Inside Starfall Palace was Grand Peacock Princess, Xing Luo. At this moment, a side hall of Starfall Palace was brightly lit. Grand Peacock Princess Xing Luo was still in the hall. She was waiting for Nine-Tailed Raccoon. However, Nine-Tailed Raccoon seemed to have returned a little late. But Princess Xing Luo was not in a hurry, because in her opinion, that raccoon might have been a little playful. On a bench in the hall, Xing Luo narrowed her eyes and leaned back comfortably. However, she suddenly opened her eyes and frowned slightly. She sensed that Nine-Tailed Raccoon had returned. However, that cat demon seemed to be somewhat different. Whoosh! A black shadow flew directly into the hall. Then, it was not Nine-Tailed Raccoon's cat body, but a man in black with a bamboo hat knelt on one knee in the middle of the hall. Princess Xing Luo's expression changed slightly, because such a report meant that Nine-Tailed Raccoon's mission had failed. Sure enough, the cultivator in black said in a hoarse voice, reporting to Princess, Cat Slave is incompetent and failed the mission. What happened? Princess Xing Luo asked. She knew that with Nine-Tailed Raccoon's realm, killing the plum demon outside the mountain was not a problem at all. There must be a hidden story. A rebirth-level plum demon suddenly appeared and saved him. The cultivator in black said, Cat Slave was no match for it. He faked his death and escaped. Rebirth-level plum demon? Princess Xing Luo was taken aback. Wisdom tree demon. Cat Slave does not know. The cultivator in black said, it was a red-clothed female cultivator with extremely powerful spells. I cannot see her realm. Cat Slave was no match for one move. Did you say that killing the plum demon was my idea? Princess Xing Luo asked. Cat Slave said, I said that the plum demon violated the rules of the Peacock Imperial Court and had to be executed. I hope she doesn't interfere. However, she doesn't care at all, said the black-clothed cultivator. Oh, hee. Princess Xing Luo's blue eyes narrowed as a murderous aura emanated from her. The divine Peacock Mountain world actually has such a spirit demon. Cat slave, let's go take a look. Princess Xing Luo waved her hand. The black-robed cultivator once again transformed into a black cat and landed in her arms. Princess Xing Luo moved and left the hall. When she reappeared, she was already at the foot of divine Peacock Mountain. This place was a mess, rubble everywhere. It was obvious that an intense battle had just taken place here. Fallen Star formed a seal with her hands. An illusory mirror instantly appeared in front of her. Everything that had happened just now had appeared in that illusion. This was a spell that made use of everything in the surroundings to reflect everything. After all, it had just happened. As for Princess Xing Luo, she was carrying Black Raccoon in her arms. She frowned slightly, but there was a smile on her lips. At the same time, her eyes were cold. Of course, she didn't know Mu Hongxun, the fifth layer of Rebirth Realm. However, she was shocked by Mu Hongxun's cultivation level. One must know that among the second-generation cultivators of the Peacock dynasty, only she and the second princess were at the rebirth state. Who is this rebirth state plum demon? Xing Luo's mind spun rapidly. However, there was definitely no such existence in the wisdom realm. All the rebirth state demons were basically in Xing Luo's mind. A demon from a foreign world. Xing Luo's heart skipped a beat when she thought of this. That was because she thought of a possibility. Galaxy reincarnators. That was a secret of the hidden world. There were only a few people in the entire wisdom realm who knew about this. Galaxy reincarnators must be killed. That was the order that the 3 demon kings of the wisdom realm had received. Princess Xing Luo then formed a seal with one hand. A vermilion token appeared in front of her. A flying peacock was carved on the token, and the background was the divine Peacock Mountain. The Peacock token. In the entire Peacock race, there were only 3 people who had this token. The Supreme Peacock King, Princess Peacock, and a Supreme Elder of the Peacock race. Seal the 270 stars of the divine Peacock Mountain world. At the same time, pass down my demon-slaying order. Princess Xing Luo smiled coldly. In the entire wisdom realm, hunt down these 2 plum demons. As she spoke, Princess Xing Luo sent Mu Hongxun and Xiao Luo's portraits out. Demon-slaying order. At this moment, the black cat in her arms could not help but whine. Because the demon-slaying order was not issued casually. The demon-slaying order was a must-kill order in the wisdom realm. Because only the Peacock, Qilin, and Kuan butterfly royal races had the right to issue the demon-slaying order. Once this order was issued, any demon could kill the wanted person. For tens of thousands of years, the demon-slaying order had never failed. All those who were on the demon-slaying order were killed, and whoever completed the mission would receive a rebirth state reward. So at that moment, Nine-Tailed Raccoon was eager to try. Good. Princess Xing Luo smiled as she stroked Nine-Tailed Raccoon. Cat, you are my beloved pet. Rebirth state is only a matter of time. How can I mistreat you? Once the demon-slaying order is issued, my dear sister will definitely be devastated. Ha ha ha. As she spoke, Xing Luo looked at the plum blossom tree that Xiao Huang left behind and waved her hand lightly. He is already gone. What's the point of keeping this divine sense? Boom! The plum blossom tree was directly smashed into pieces. Dear sister, you will feel heartache. Your plum blossom tree will die soon. Ha ha ha. That demon-slaying order shall be the wedding gift I prepared for you. As she spoke, Xing Luo turned around and disappeared. Xiao Huang's memory was broken. He naturally did not know what happened on the Peacock Sacred Mountain. In fact, the last memory of the divine sense was not left behind. Sumo and Yi Wuhui did not know what had happened in between. Similarly, there was no clear concept of time in these memories. The demonic boat did not stop and headed straight for the north of the dead souls. Gradually, new fragments appeared in Xiao Huang's memory. However, It was an unknown place. From the looks of it, it looked like a cave abode, but the inside was extremely broken. It seemed that it was not a long-term cave abode, but a place of refuge. Xiao Huang was dressed in black and only had one real arm. The other one was an illusory limb. Opposite him was Mu Hongchun, who was sitting cross-legged. However, Mu Hongchun's brows were slightly closed, as if she was resting. In front of her was the plum blossom staff. Xiao Huang was actually kneeling in front of her. One lifetime, immortal great circle. His realm had actually increased by leaps and bounds. Has he awakened? Yi Wuhui asked. Should be. Sumo frowned. Or a long time has passed. Otherwise, he would not have been able to advance by one realm in such a short period of time. But didn't Huang Ying say that Xiao Huang's final realm was only the sea destruction great circle? Yi Wuhui said. I find it strange too. Sumo said. Master, Xiao Huang said in a low voice, I am not satisfied. Sumo frowned, because Xiao Huang's way of addressing Mu Hongchun was a little special. If he called himself master, he would usually call himself a disciple. If he called himself a child, it would most likely be to his parents. However, Xiao Huang had combined them together. Mu Hongchun did not speak. Xiao Huang did not speak. After a while, Mu Hongchun slowly opened her eyes. Her tone was calm. Huang why are you not satisfied? I want to go to the Peacock's sacred mountain. Xiao Huang's face was tense. I want to see what's going on. What are you looking at? Mu Hongchun sighed. I don't believe that she's dead. Tears rolled down Xiao Huang's eyes. Chapter 740. Peacock Princess is dead. On the demonic boat, Sumo frowned while Yi Wuhui's expression changed. Huang Mu Hongchun said, whether you believe it or not, she's dead. She won't die. She said that she wants to live on and take revenge. Xiao Huang said, the Peacock and Qilin races have already announced the cancellation of the marriage. The reason is that the second Peacock Princess died of a serious illness. You should know that they are the two royal races of the Hanya world. They will definitely be cautious about such matters. Moreover, if not for the second princess's death, the marriage will not be cancelled. If she is alive, even if she is sealed, she will still be married off. Mu Hongchun said, because that is not a marriage, but a transaction. Do you understand? I understand. Xiao Huang nodded, but I must go back and take a look. What's the point? Mu Hongchun frowned. If she's dead, Xiao Huang said slowly, then I want to know how she died and who killed her. If she is dead, will you take revenge for her? Mu Hongchun asked. Yes. Xiao Huang said firmly, I will wipe out the Peacock race. Hee. Mu Hongchun laughed coldly, then shook his head. But how are you going to take revenge? The Peacock Princess is in the first stage of the rebirth realm, and she is helpless. How are you going to take revenge? You should know that you are not even in the rebirth realm. There are more than 10 people in the Peacock race who can kill you. Moreover, there is the Demon Killing Order. I am a galaxy reincarnator. Xiao Huang looked up at Mu Hongchun. I have a Dao technique. I can fight with the Peacock race. I don't know what the galaxy world is. Mu Hongchun looked at Xiao Huang, her eyes filled with sorrow, because I don't remember much. Mother, Xiao Huang said with tears in his eyes. I am not your mother. Mu Hongchun shook her head, then sighed. I don't remember you. Apart from some of the techniques you mentioned, I don't remember anything else. I am only your master. Master, Xiao Huang changed his words helplessly. He had awakened. He knew that Mu Hongchun was his mother. That was because all of her techniques were from the past, and she still had that plum blossom staff. His mother was a plum blossom spirit. However, Mu Hongchun did not remember him at all. She only remembered the spell. He didn't know anything else. She was also unwilling to acknowledge Xiao Huang and only accepted him as her disciple. Actually, Mu Hongchun was more like a lonely and pitiful soul. She, drifting without purpose. She, closed herself, did not know why. After a long while, the cave was extremely quiet. None of them spoke. Huang is she really that important to you? Finally, Mu Hongchun sighed and asked. Very important, Xiao Huang said. Ha! Mu Hongchun laughed bitterly. Huang, you once said that you came from the galaxy world. You are the son of the Demon King. Your father looked down on the world and laughed at the three realms. However, the galaxy was destroyed. Then, I want to ask you, is the Peacock Princess more important than your father? Was it more important than a galaxy world? How important is she to you? Sumo narrowed his eyes as soon as he heard this question. Her gaze was directed at Xiao Huang. He seemed to have forgotten that it was just a fragment of a memory. Xiao Huang couldn't sense anything at all. Master, hearing Mu Hongqin's question, Xiao Huang couldn't help but kowtow to Mu Hongqin. Forgive me for being unfilial. Mu Hongqin's eyes also narrowed, because she understood Xiao Huang's answer. In my heart, she is more important than all living beings. Xiao Huang's answer was resolute and deep. Evil creature. On the demon ship, Sumo couldn't help but raise her eyebrows and slap the side of the ship. The entire demon ship shook violently and almost capsized. Immediately, Sumo stood up and raised one hand. In an instant, red flowers surged up and wanted to smash the memory ball. However, Yi Wuhui's figure moved and was already standing in front of the memory ball. Sumo, calm down. Yi Wuhui stopped her. Xiao Huang, it's not you. He has the right to choose. Does everyone have to think about all living beings? You are the Demon King. He isn't. He doesn't deserve to be the son of the Demon King. Sumo said angrily. Yi Wuhui laughed coldly. I think you don't deserve to be Xiao Huang's father either. Why do you have to impose your righteousness on others? You do it for all living beings, and he does it for his infatuation. What's wrong with that? I feel that your son is more affectionate than you are. Yi Wuhui rolled his eyes at Sumo. I think Sister Wu is definitely not as important as all living beings. Sumo was speechless. Sit down, Yi Wuhui said in a commanding tone. Mfumph. The little white pig mustered up his courage and followed suit. Sumo's face tightened, but she still sat down in the end and said coldly, This kid deserves to die. Then don't take revenge for you in the future, Yi Wuhui retorted. In her heart, she really liked Xiao Huang's character. Unfortunately, Sumo wasn't Xiao Huang. If Wu was not as important as all living beings, she was not even worth mentioning. Silly child. The Mu Hongqin in her memory smiled helplessly. Master, my father is probably more important than all living beings in my mother's heart. Xiao Huang said again. When Yi Wuhui heard that, he couldn't help but turn around and ridicule Sumo. It seems that in this family, you are the only heartless person. Sumo didn't defend herself and only let out a long sigh, because he knew that in Mu Hongqin's heart, he must be more important than all living beings. He had let her down a lot. Something must have happened to Mu Hongqin in the reincarnation cycle. Oh. Mu Hongqin looked at Xiao Huang blankly and didn't speak for a long time. Her gaze was filled with confusion, because she couldn't remember anything. Who was the Demon King? Who was Xiao Luo? What Three Realms Galaxy? What Plum Blossom Villa? She couldn't remember anything, but she understood Xiao Huang's meaning. Finally, she nodded her head. Good. As long as you advance to the rebirth state, I will let you out. Mu Hongqin said. Huang, you don't have the 5 blights. You should be able to advance soon. Don't blame me. You can only come back alive if you advance to the rebirth state. That is my bottom line. Thank you, Master. Xiao Huang kowtowed again. This Plum Blossom Staff is for you. Didn't you say that it is a rebirth state divine weapon? Mu Hongqin smiled bitterly. But it might be covered in dust. Xiao Huang took the staff with both hands. Then there was a blank memory. After that, it was a rainy morning. On the Green Mountain, it was drizzling. Mu Hongqin, dressed in red, stood on the mountainside. Xiao Huang, dressed in black, knelt in front of her. First stage rebirth state. His left arm had completely recovered. Master, Xiao Huang's voice was a little choked. He paused and said, Mother, I am unfilial. Take care. If there is reincarnation, we will meet again in the next life. Mu Hongqin frowned, but didn't say anything. She couldn't make Xiao Huang stay. Xiao Huang slowly kowtowed 3 times, then stood up without turning back. On the green mountain, Mu Hongshan's red clothes fluttered. Under her feet, the red sand swirled. She watched as Xiao Huang completely disappeared. Then the ends of her hair started to turn red. Chapter 741. Brave, but not wise. Sumo coldly looked at the memory ball, then said to Yi Wu Hui, "Do you think it's worth it?" "If he thinks it's worth it, then it's worth it." Yi Wu Hui smiled. "Xiao Huang doesn't need us to think it's worth it. But he's going to die," Sumo said in a low voice. Hee. Yi Wu Hui turned and looked at Sumo and said, "So what if he's going to die?" "Sumo, if Sister Wu Er is killed, will you avenge her?" "Of course," Sumo said. "Then why don't you approve of Xiao Huang?" Yi Wu Hui asked. "Because if I go, I will only succeed, not fail," Sumo said sternly. "Patience and timing are important. But Xiao Huang won't." "He won't." Yi Wu Hui smiled and shook his head. "Do you really think he won't? You're his father. Of course Xiao Huang will. But if Peacock Princess dies, Xiao Huang will also want to die." Sumo's face darkened, not saying a word. Actually, it wasn't that Sumo didn't understand Xiao Huang. How could he not understand? But he really didn't want Xiao Huang to make that choice. Because he was his father. The time and space in Xiao Huang's memory changed again. The night was hazy. Divine Peacock Mountain. Xiao Huang wore a black robe, his face cold. On his body, there were still traces of blood that hadn't dried. Because, on the way here, he encountered an ambush. Demon-slaying order. The entire wisdom world had their eyes on him. That wave was made up of 3 snake monsters at the peak of a mortal realm. But they were all killed by Xiao Huang. Xiao Huang originally did not like to kill. But now, the smell of blood made him happy. That feeling was indescribable. Perhaps he thought that blood was a medium that allowed him to see Peacock Princess. At this moment, Xiao Luo was outside the Peacock Mountain. That was the place where he used to grow up. 3,000 years. This place seemed to have changed, yet nothing seemed to have changed. The mountain was still the same mountain, but the trees were no longer the same trees. A tall tomb caught his attention. The tomb had a radius of more than 100 feet. It was surrounded by plum trees. However, those plum trees were still young and hadn't become demons yet. In the night, everything was still. A stone tablet was erected in front of the tomb. Xiao Huang lightly walked to the front of the tombstone. On the green stone tablet were large white words, Yu Luo's tomb. Apart from that, there was nothing else. Yu Luo, second Princess Peacock. Xiao Huang stood in front of the tombstone, not saying a word. He looked at the 4 words without saying anything, not even shedding a tear. Because, before coming, he had already made all the preparations. "I'm back." Xiao Huang smiled lightly. "I've come to see you." "Who?" Xiao Huang's figure moved, instantly turning into a towering plum tree. That plum tree had endless branches, its crown spanning several li. It enveloped the entire tomb and Merlin within it. Pitter, patter, patter. At dusk it began to drizzle. The rain became heavier and heavier, and a strong wind began to blow. Thunder and lightning intertwined. However, that plum tree did not budge. Its body emitted a faint green light. The entire tomb, under its cover, did not suffer any wind or rain. Plum darling. Yu Luo. Xiao Huang was a little dazed. He seemed to have heard Princess Peacock's voice. However, it was just a tomb. There was nothing. It was empty. "I'll shelter you from the wind and rain." Xiao Huang's voice was slightly choked. However, only he could hear the words in his heart. On the magic ship, Yi Wu Hui looked at everything, his eyes filled with tears. Sumo was silent. "Umph." The little white pig seemed to feel Xiao Huang's sadness. It hummed, looking like it wanted to cry, but it was extremely cute. He. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from Peacock Mountain. It was a woman's laughter. That laughter was full of mockery and ridicule. "He's gone. It's been almost 3,000 years. What's the point of you coming now?" In midair, a black-clothed, blue-haired female cultivator appeared. Her blue eyes shone with a strange light. However, this time, she did not carry nine-tailed raccoon. Then, she waved her hand in the air. Whoosh! Instantly, the wind and rain stopped. Looking again, the towering plum tree rapidly shrank, instantly turning into Xiao Huang's appearance. However, the once elegant young master looked a little down and down. The demon-slaying order actually did not kill you. You're really lucky to have been on the run for 3,000 years. Princess Xing Luo sneered. If that's the case, although you can't leave the wisdom realm, why did you walk right into the trap? You should know that the reincarnators of the three realms are people that the Ling clan must kill. Xiao Huang looked at you Luo, not saying a word for a long time. It had to be said that Xing Luo and Yu Luo's blue hair was almost identical. There were even some similarities between their brows. Princess? Xiao Huang asked. That's right, Xing Luo replied. How'd she die? Princess Xing Luo had said a lot earlier, but Xiao Huang did not want to know, nor did he want to ask why. He only wanted to know about Yu Luo. She destroyed her own soul. Xing Luo looked at Xiao Huang, still smiling. Destroyed her own soul. Xiao Huang could not help but frown at this answer. That was because this seemed to be the most impossible situation to him. Yu Luo had once said that she wanted to live no matter what and seek revenge. Then why did she kill herself? Why did she destroy her own soul? Xiao Luo questioned. He did not believe Yu Luo's words. He, Xing Luo laughed. I have no reason to lie to you. Once, I wanted to kill this little sister, because she was a threat to my position. But then father betrothed her to the Qilin third prince, so I had to kill her. She destroyed her own soul, because she thought that you were dead. Hee. Xing Luo actually laughed. To her, that was an act of extreme stupidity that she could not understand even now. To die for a tree demon, she was not worthy of being a member of the Peacock clan. Therefore, there was nothing on Yu Luo's tombstone other than the words, Yu Luo's grave. I'm dead. Xiao Huang frowned. Who told her that I'm dead? Of course it was me. Fallen Star smiled, then sighed. Actually, I wanted her to give up on me and marry the Qilin prince as soon as possible. But I did not expect that girl to be so unyielding. If you were alive, she could compromise, but when she heard that you were dead, she did not want to live alone. But I'm not dead. How could she believe your words so easily? Xiao Huang said. Hee. Xing Luo laughed coldly again and looked at Xiao Huang. In terms of cultivation talent, my good sister might be better than me, but in terms of wits and schemes, she is far from me. She is still much more naive. I have 100 ways to make you believe me. What's more, I once destroyed a part of your soul to create the illusion that your soul was destroyed. Don't be too easy. If I want you to live, you will live, and if I want you to die, you will die. Xing Luo's words had a double meaning. Xiao Huang was silent for a moment, then asked one last question. Where did she die? Right under your feet. Xing Luo's lips curled, and she mocked. Wherever you love, that's where you die. Whoosh! Xiao Huang's black robe fluttered, and he had already made his move. Chapter 742. Black robes fluttered, plum blossoms dotted the sky. Xiao Huang's technique was both beautiful and powerful. Each plum blossom contained the power of rebirth. It was an indiscriminate attack spell. It was an extremely powerful rebirth level technique. But Fallen Star was not afraid, because she was a rebirth level 5 cultivator. Her level far surpassed Xiao Huang's. As the plum blossoms flew over, she quickly formed a seal. Chi-chi, thousands of peacock blue plumes appeared in the air. Each blue feather was like a flying arrow. Bang, bang, feathers against plum blossoms. Two forces exploded in the air. Spiritual energy exploded, rippling out layer by layer like water ripples. Falling Stars had broken Xiao Huang's technique with this one move. Some of the blue plumes pierced through the plum blossoms, heading straight for Xiao Huang. Seeing this, Xiao Huang retreated, his hands seal changing. Whoosh! Red light shone in the air. Endless flames. A wall of fire appeared in front of Xiao Huang. Looking again, the blue plumes were finally blocked by the wall of fire. Ha! Fallen Star giggled. A plum demon, but your technique is not bad. It's a pity you shouldn't have come to divine Peacock Mountain. Shatter the earth. Following Fallen Star's soft shout, boom, crack, the divine Peacock Mountain suddenly lit up with countless rays of light. At the same time, a tall mountain appeared in the air, then collapsed, heading straight for Xiao Huang. Xiao Huang frowned. That technique was not an ordinary mountain shifting suppression technique. There was a ceiling array formation on the mountain. At the same time, Xiao Huang's feet shook. The earth cracked. Within the crevice, countless spiritual energies surged out, like invisible arms grabbing at Xiao Huang. This technique was indeed powerful. Not only that, but Fallen Star's level was higher than Xiao Huang's. Therefore, every one of her powers surpassed Xiao Huang's. Looking again, Xiao Huang formed a seal in the air. Suddenly, his body glowed with endless black light. The black light rose like flames, like fire from hell. Is this a netherworld technique? Yi Wuhui asked. Netherworld space, splitting art, Sumo said with a frown. Unfortunately, his realm isn't high enough. Otherwise, this Dao technique would have devoured the peacock. Hu, Hua. The black flames on Xiao Huang's body gathered into a circle. Instantly, a black hole appeared in the void. There seemed to be thousands of souls inside the black hole, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. At the same time, it had an endless suction force. The mountain that Starfall Cataclysm had summoned had already fallen into the black hole the moment it collapsed. Boom! Crack! The landslide formation was immediately shattered. However, the mountain rocks leaked out from the bottom of the black hole and fell directly into the cracked ground, suppressing everything. For the first time, Fallen Star frowned. Xiao Huang's cultivation level was indeed lower than hers. However, the techniques of the Three Realms Galaxy were extremely mysterious. A Dao technique actually broke two of his Dao techniques. However, Fallen Star sneered. She believed that in the face of absolute power, any spell was meaningless. Xiao Huang definitely did not have the strength to challenge someone of a higher level. Fallen Star formed another seal. Her blue hair fluttered in the wind. The power of the fifth rebirth realm was suddenly released. Two rays of light shot out from those blue eyes. A technique. That was Princess Peacock's special technique. In the entire Peacock clan, only she had a pair of blue eyes. The two rays of light directly locked onto Xiao Huang. At that moment, Xiao Huang felt two special auras forcibly locking him in place. At the same time, he saw countless blue peacocks flying towards him in Princess Peacock's eyes. Illusion technique. Xiao Huang knew clearly that the other party's blue eyes were a type of bloodline technique. It was said that once the blue eyes appeared, they could determine life and death. At this moment, countless blue peacocks filled Xiao Huang's eyes. Other than the blue light, he could not see anything else. Xiao Huang knew that his consciousness would soon be devoured. Xiao Huang did not have any eye techniques. He did not inherit Xiao Luo's demon eyes. Then, to win against this bloodline technique, one must first surpass the other party in cultivation level. However, in theory, that was impossible. Fallen Star was in the fifth rebirth realm. However, as Xiao Huang had once said, he had a Dao technique. At this moment, Xiao Huang had no other choice. He did not have many choices to begin with. If he could not even get past Princess Peacock, he could forget about killing his way up Divine Peacock Mountain. Fallen Star had to bear the responsibility for Yulua's death. Killing Fallen Star was revenge. If it really did not work, he could exchange his life for Fallen Star's. At this thought, Xiao Huang made up his mind. Whoosh! Xiao Huang put his hands together and began to rapidly form seals. That spell was an ancient one, even in the Milky Way. Spirit Lord Technique. Sumo's expression changed slightly. Previously, Xiao Huang had said that he had a Dao technique that could fight the Peacock clan. At that time, Sumo did not pay much attention to it. But now, she finally understood what Xiao Huang was referring to. Spirit Lord Technique? Yi Wuhui was shocked. This was because to her, the so-called Spirit Lord only existed in the legends of the three realms that Bu Miaoyan had told her. She would rather have a beauty than a kingdom. Those were the most beautiful words that Yi Wuhui had ever heard. Of course, now there was the addition of Xiao Huang's. She was more important than all living things in my heart. The yin-yang seal of life and death. Shang Xie taught it to him. Sumo's cheeks tightened. Shang Xie. Yi Wuhui was a little fascinated, because to her, these people that Su Imo casually mentioned were like mortals to immortals. The yin-yang seal of life and death originated from the Spirit Lord. However, in the three realms, other than the Spirit Lord, there were two other people who could use it. One was naturally Shun Yan. She had used that Tao technique the most. The yin-yang seal of life and death, coupled with the supreme ghost god face, was Shun Yan's ultimate technique. The other was Shang Xie. Shun Yan's technique actually originated from Shang Xie's inheritance. During the Galaxy era, Shun Yan was not around. When Xiao Huang traveled the galaxy, he had indeed received guidance from many experts. He had gone to Nine-Wheel Star to visit Shang Xie and Shui Mei. Sumo did not expect Shang Xie to pass the yin-yang seal of life and death to Xiao Huang. That was a secret that could not be passed on. At the same time, that technique was extremely overbearing, reversing yin and yang, changing fate. Often, it could achieve a reversal. The price of this technique was lifespan. Back then, because Shun Yin used this technique, she exhausted her lifespan and died once. Xiao Huang had actually used this Tao technique. Whoosh, whoosh, in an instant, the aura on Xiao Huang's body suddenly exploded. His realm began to rise rapidly. The first level of rebirth, the second level of rebirth, the third level of rebirth. That scene left Princess Xing Luo dumbfounded, because she had never seen such a technique. The Hanya Demon clan had pills that could instantly increase one's cultivation, but the increase was limited at most 2 small realms. Above the rebirth realm, one could forget about it. However, Xiao Huang was not one. How could a cultivator increase his realm like this? Unless he had suppressed his realm previously. Xiao Huang relied on a Tao technique. The 4th level of rebirth, the 5th level of rebirth, the 6th level of rebirth, the 7th level of rebirth. Xiao Huang's improvement was almost unbelievable. One must know that the rebirth realm was the same as the eternal realm. There was a huge gap between each small realm. However, Xiao Huang's frantic improvement had already reached the 7th level of rebirth. Correspondingly, Xiao Huang's long black hair instantly turned white, and even his face began to show signs of aging. This speed of aging far exceeded that of Xun Yan back then. Sumo let out a long sigh. At that moment, she understood. Xiao Huang only needed to use that Tao technique once. What he was betting on was not tens of thousands of years of lifespan, but 3 lifetimes of life and death. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.